pass at the 53-man roster last week. What was the hardest position for you to figure even before all this opting out and whatnot?
For me, it's really corner, and it's just because there's just a lot of variables there. You know, I think it's easy to pencil in the veteran guys with like Anthony Brown and Chidobe Awuzie and Jordan Lewis, and then the two.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Hard hit ball. Past the second baseman Gilbert, and Pete Rose has done it. A base hit in the 44th consecutive game, and Pete Rose moves abreast of Wee Willie Keeler on the all-time list.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
And suddenly, as if in a cockeyed dream, there was Ken Houston restraining Garrison at the 1-yard line and throwing him back to preserve a victory that had been celebrated long before the final gun.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Arnsberg's pitch, fly ball, center field. This should do it. Pettis makes the catch, and Nolan Ryan, and the Rangers are victorious. Nolan Ryan, his 300th career victory, and you can charge up the bus for Cooperstown. Nolan Ryan officially has had his ticket validated.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. We have a Southwest Conference Hall of Famer, Cotton Davidson, former Gatesville Hornet, always a Gatesville Hornet, played at Baylor, coached at Baylor, played with the Raiders, Texans, and Colts. And then also was a part of the Canadian Football League. He'll join us today at 5, a Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Maybe if you had a discussion, the greatest safety in pro football history, I think that Ed Reed's name might come up. I think you might hear the name of Ken Houston. I think you will. I think he's one of them. Maybe, I don't know, Dick Night Train Lane. His name would be a part of it. He joins us today at 4. Todd Dodge of Westlake High School. I've known him a long time. I'll never forget when he was in between North Texas and looking to get back into high school coaching. He actually called me one time looking for a job just outside of Waco. It was a 3A school. Nice school, nice money, nice facilities, and then, of course, all of a sudden Westlake popped. But he really was. He was just trying to find a place to maybe retire and just kind of enjoy. And, of course, he won a state championship last year. They opened up against Midway. And then Grayson will join us today from SicEm365 at 3:45. All right. How about the NBA? Did you watch?
I watched the second game, and I didn't make it all the way to the end, but apparently it was a great ending. I saw the highlights this morning, and LeBron James hit a winner.
Yeah, LeBron and Anthony Davis came through clutch late for the Lakers, and I watched a bit of it as well. It was nice to have it back. It was certainly different, but I think we're going to be saying that with everything going on right now, so it's kind of pointless to even say everything's different. But it was nice to at least have it on the TV. You know, I saw the ratings weren't exactly like crazy good, like maybe some people anticipated. But I don't really know what they're comparing it against because they're not typically, playing in late July. But, yeah, it was just nice to have it back, much like with baseball, much like with golf and NASCAR and everything else that has returned. So good to see, some of the best players in the world.
Let's put something in perspective here. There were no sports for about 3 or 4 months, correct?
Yes. Pretty much, yeah.
Tonight, the Mavericks. Tomorrow, the Rangers. Sunday, the Rangers and Mavericks. Monday, the Stars. In fact, the Rangers are tonight, right, against the Giants? Mm-hmm. So they also have tonight. Also, Chuck Cooperstein is going to be a part of the call along with Brad Davis. I mean, He's excited as he could possibly be. Sent him a text earlier today. I said, man, have fun. Doing it from an isolation, like a remote location. Here's why the Mavericks, and Coop said this on his Twitter feed, @CoopMavs. The Mavericks start this 8-game stretch. Lakers win last night, Clippers lose. Utah won. How about Rudy Gobert? Was that a setup that Utah played? You can't do that, right?
I don't really believe in a whole lot of conspiracies, but if you would have told me the NBA designed that, I might be apt to believe you, just because of the fact that that was quite poetic.
New Orleans wins the tip, turn it over, let Rudy Gobert take the first shot, right?
Yeah.
He hits the first shot, and then, they're at the end of the game as well, wins the game. So pretty amazing that he had an impact not only there right at the beginning and is the first official, points back in the NBA's restart. I mean, that alone would have been good enough. But, the final play, him and Donovan Spider Mitchell get together to win the game. So pretty incredible.
So the Lakers now, and I really didn't digest any of this when I heard about this 8-game drive, stretch, whatever you want to call it. But here's the deal. Lakers well ahead of the Clippers. Clippers up 1 on Denver. Denver's up 1 on Utah. Then a 2-game gap between Utah, Oklahoma City, Houston, and the Mavericks. Mavericks are 3 games in the loss column behind Oklahoma City, Houston. They play Houston tonight. This is like a playoff game.
Yeah.
It's not a playoff game. They're going to get in. They're 8 games up on 8th seed Memphis. So just by snorting, burping, breathing, they're already clinched. That's it. But they can improve whether or not they start against the Clippers or possibly Denver or Utah. None of them will be easy, but that could be a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a quick run to the postseason for those teams that, have been waiting on this. And so they're going to have a very short amount of time, really just a couple of weeks to kind of work out the kinks and get ready for a playoff run. And, hey, it's anybody's game, really. I mean, kind of like we've been talking about with baseball. I mean, I don't anticipate the Mavs going and winning a world championship, but in this setting and with, injuries coming into play at some point or another potentially, like who knows what's going to happen. So, Mavs Rockets to kick things off. So that's a good matchup on night 1 for those two teams. And
it's 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I'll be on Fox Sports Southwest if you want to tune in for that. But, the Mavs are going to be a fun team to follow just because of the excitement that they had had before the shutdown.
6 games tonight. There were 2 last night that kind of featured games like baseball.
And there's 2 games going on right now, actually.
Orlando's up 24 on Brooklyn.
Yeah. And then
Memphis and Portland about to start.
They just tipped Memphis and Portland.
Along with Phoenix and Washington.
Now, Royce O'Neal last night for Utah, they got down early, but they came back to win the game, had 9 points and 9 rebounds. I texted him. I said, hey, by the way, you were brought up by Maceo Teague as someone that was kind of, giving him a little guidance. And I said, by the way, this is Smoke. And he goes, yeah, I know. And he goes, yeah. He goes, what a good young man. He goes, he's clear-headed about his decision.
Yeah.
So that was cool as well.
Yeah, Royce had a great game defensively. He was able to really shut down Brandon Ingram when he was defending him. He was the primary defender on him. Held him to 0 for shooting, including 0 of 3 from 3, and did just a great job in general against the Pelicans. Held them to 33% shooting. They were 0 for 5 shooting against Royce O'Neal. So, that was all Brandon Ingram, obviously, but still, holding them to 33% as a primary defender is great for Royce, and we know his defense, and that's one of the reasons why he's been able to carve out a nice little niche for himself with that Jazz team.
Pete Thamel, this is from, I don't know, a few hours ago, maybe, just an hour ago. Pac-12 will have a 10-game schedule, starts September 26. SEC pushes their start back, even though they're going to play their 10-game schedule. Everyone's waiting now except, of course, the Big 12.
The Pac-12's released their full schedule now. In the last 10 minutes, they've released the schedule for all 12 teams, and looking at it, there's only one bye for everybody, and then there's that open week between the last game of the regular season. So this is a really small graphic I'm having to pull up here. So week 1 would be September the 26th, and then they would close up shop on that first week of December. That would be the final week of the regular season. Open week in the second week of December, and then the Pac-12 championship game either on the 18th or the 19th of December.
So each team has a bye and an open week.
Yeah.
That gives you 2 games that maybe if they're pushed back or
each
whatever.
team has a bye, and then everybody has that open week between the end of the regular season and the championship
And the bye
game.
weeks are all week 4, 5, and 6, so they're not like 1 and 3 or 8, whatever. The bye week is open week is everybody the week before the championship game if you need to shove a game there. Andy Staples put out the schedule as well, and he had some of the games have kind of a stripe shade on them. Those are games that are ones that can be moved into the either bye week or open week if necessary. And, of course, that could change based on how many games, if you get games into that first week and on.
Well, yeah, the reason for that 2-week gap between the end of the regular season and their championship game is in case they need to play some games that got canceled. So, yeah, that's why there's that 2-week buffer. So just in case they need like Oregon and Utah to make up a game, they can use that week there in December to try and do that. But, yeah, that will be very interesting to see how many games they get in and if they get them all in.
So, Oregon and Utah, last year's title championship teams, picked up a game against each other because, again, you had to kind of flip things around a little bit. We'll see what the Big 12 decides.
That's what everybody's waiting on now.
254-339-1122, your thoughts. And I asked this on Twitter, and we got a lot of feedback, got more. The number one, what do you think was the number one most preferred option for the Big 12 when I put that up on the Twitter feed?
12-game schedule?
Well, I mean, I would raise my hand for that.
I guess conference
as far
only.
as options, if it's conference only, was Brigham Young. Add Brigham Young. This thing about playing a couple of different teams. I was on that 10-12 podcast that they released yesterday, and I mentioned if, in fact, Baylor had to play somebody home and home this year, the obvious answer would be TCU, and I don't trust the Big 12 to get that right. Not any conspiracy theories. I just kind of think that would – because, I mean, what if they dialed up and it was Texas and OU? Oh, no, you can. They can't do that, but why not? I mean, if you can have Baylor against TCU or you could have Oklahoma State twice, those games would never happen. So that we'll see what they do. I don't know if they're going to still wait till Monday or perhaps if they're doing a Zoom meeting, why can't they just do it now?
Well, there's no point in announcing anything anytime today unless you're just trying to do the weekend news dump, which I don't know why you would do that. So if you're the Big 12 and you were hoping to – I mean, like, you're not really looking to make a splash here because it's just news that everybody's anticipating anyways. But, yeah, I don't think it's something that you want to put out, like, now or between 5 o'clock and just throw it out there like that. So I'm assuming we will probably hear something on Monday.
But, the games being dumped, I found this out. Did I mention yesterday UT San Antonio's 2 loss of games, $2.4 million?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did text a couple of people. Stephen F. Austin's looking for a game. Jeff Traylor was up for the Stephen F. Austin head coaching job before Kobe Carthel got it, right? Mm-hmm. There's also the possibility that Texas, Baylor, among others, are looking for an extra game. Wouldn't that make sense? They're right down the road.
Yeah.
They're right next to Texas. Also, how about this? And I saw John King, head coach at Longview, say, man, that's got to happen. Louisiana Tech and UL Monroe. Louisiana Tech, who right now is still scheduled to play Baylor, have an open date at the same time on November 21st. I don't know how often they've ever played. It sounded like this is finally going to happen.
I don't know why that's not a rivalry anyway, just based on, Ruston to Monroe, that's pretty darn close.
That's news to me. I mean, I would have had no idea about them having any.
I'm going to look it up.
I don't know what the history or lack thereof is there for 2 teams in a small state pretty close to each other like that.
It might be some kind of bad blood. Maybe they stopped 30 years into it or stopped because they've met 43 times. But they've met 43 times. Tech has the lead. That didn't surprise me, 29-14. They have not played each other since 2000. That's why that got
that's
such
like
a hot
conference
button.
shuffle thing.
Let me see why that's
Louisiana Monroe became a member of the Sun Belt, and La Tech became a member of the WAC after they played in the 2000 seasons. They played in different conferences since 2000, and they haven't scheduled a game. In 2013, La Tech left the WAC, joined Conference USA, so they're still in different conferences. UL Monroe was invited to play in the Independence Bowl back in 2012. La Tech also got invited, but instead to just let the deadline pass and accept the
sounds like
invite.
Texas and A&M.
So they didn't even end up playing in a bowl game that year, despite the fact they had the top scoring offense in the entire country.
I bet the Independence Bowl people were pissed.
Yes.
Oh, my God. It would have been sold out,
And
hanging from the rafters.
This is from the Wikipedia page. It says several members of the media speculated La Tech's reluctance to play in the Independence Bowl might have been based on their reluctance to renew their rivalry with ULM, though Tech officials had denied this was their motivation. So they tried to renew it again in 2013 when UL Monroe hired a new athletic director, said he wanted to play La Tech, and didn't happen again. So
they started playing more infrequently after the 80s. It was 90, 91. They were pretty awesome. And then 97, 98, 99, 2000, and nothing since.
They're 35 miles apart from each other, and they haven't played in 20 years.
It was Northeast Louisiana State. Pat Collins, Craig, you know him.
Yeah.
That's Stan Humphreys. Northeast Louisiana is, oh, my God, there's a couple of other big names. That obviously, Randy Robertson played at La Tech. Kim Mulkey played at La Tech. I mean, that's,
Terry Bradshaw,
Joe Ferguson.
Carl
Malone. High school practices begin Monday. I saw one where Shane Conley popped out the schedule. Volleyball as well. It's not just football. Volleyball, cheerleading camps, even though I'm sure that they'll be on their own campus, and whoever runs the camps most likely will, probably come to them, or I don't know how they have to have some sort of you would think in session together. That starts Monday. Mike Golick today ended 22 years on ESPN National Radio. He did the show from his house. His son was there. All of his family was there. 22 years. Here's what in 45 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever, how do you describe Mike Golick?
Classy.
Craig?
Fun.
Yeah. I mean, he was... Every time I've ever encountered him, he's been great. Any member, well, I mean, we got a little sideways with Golick Jr. one day, but it was just kind of a weird misunderstanding. But
he was the guy you could say anyone could approach him based on, I'm sure, maybe his schedule. If you could approach Mike Golick Sr., and you could sit down and probably drink a beer with him and just sit there for hours and have the best time. That's how his show, that's how he was on the show.
I actually talked to him for a few minutes last year or earlier this year.
We all interviewed him.
At the Super Bowl in Miami at the party, at the Jaworski party.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Just a great guy. ESPN, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a legendary, sports radio guy. I think that if you go do like a sports radio Hall of Fame, Mike and Mike got to be in there, right? There would have to be in there.
Yeah, Greenberg got a little bit too TV.
I mean, not by himself. Together, though, they would have to be in there. But, no, I was like, he's never anybody I necessarily sought out to listen to. But I enjoyed, what I heard over the years. And man, 20-plus years anywhere is quite the accomplishment. So kudos to him and whatever he does next.
I'm sure he had lots of donuts. That's
it was pretty emotional. Trey Wingo, Baylor graduate, of course, is a part of that show. He now goes back to what mainly he was doing. Mike Jr. does a show in the afternoon, but that's ESPN. Their radio broadcast schedule over the last 5 to 10 years has just been decimated. Scott Van Pelt had a show. Dan Patrick had a show. Obviously, Colin Cowherd had a show. I love Tony Kornheiser. I could relate to him a little bit because he's the old crotchety man. They're all gone.
I was in my 20s when I listened to him.
I think the golden age of ESPN was when they had Dan Patrick. Yeah. And once he was gone, it took a little bit away from me. Now, Cowherd was good, but then, he's gone. And Mike split up. And they just had a rotation of whether it was Bomani Jones or Levitard or – I mean, they've tried so many different shows. And some, like Levitard, have worked. And they've had success with those. Even if there's a lot of markets that maybe don't want to carry his show or some of the others. But
they cut him down an hour.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think he's been butting heads with brass there for a while. So, yeah, I just remember the glory days of like Kornheiser and Dan Patrick and those types of shows. And there's been other good ones as well, but they've definitely been in like a fluctuating situation now for 3-4 years.
Yeah, they have been. And so that's done. Monday Night Football, I'm not sure about this group at all. Steve Levy.
I like it.
They call college games.
Lewis Riddick's a rising star. Brian Greasy, he's pretty good.
Well, Levy and Greasy are partners anyways.
There's another thing, though, that used to be big names. And now it almost got to the point where they were worried so much about the biggest names, they forgot about what sounded good.
Let's get Dennis Miller in here. Not worry about
Antonio
how that might
Brown,
fit.
8-game suspension for the conduct policy. And, of course, a couple of games in baseball because Cardinals had a couple of guys postponed or tested positive that game with Milwaukee postponed for tonight. Let's try to play as early as a doubleheader Sunday.
Yeah, Monday Night Football just got a little wild. Like, once they lost 2 Hall of Famers in Gifford and Deerdorf, you lose those 2 big names. Like, both those guys are Hall of Famers, and they're not there anymore, so you're trying to, like, do something different. And then after that, they just never really found their way for very long. I like this because Riddick is really sharp, Greasy's good on TV, and Steve Levy's nothing like he's not a Gus Johnson guy where you're going to remember a bunch of his calls.
He's solid,
but he's
though.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what you need. He's good.
319.
And well, I was going to add, they're doing the 2 different broadcasts on opening week, and so it's going to be Levy, Greasy, and Riddick, and then it's going to be Herbstreit and Fowler. Yeah. And then what happened, and there's thoughts that if college football gets like super interrupted, or if for some reason, like before we get to that point, it gets shut down, that ESPN may prefer Herbstreit and Fowler as their Monday Night Football team. So they still have to settle on that, but those will be the 2 broadcast teams for that opening week.
When we come back, Charles Barkley, very outspoken about whether you should kneel or not, and if you should be criticized for it last night during the NBA's launch of their season or the restart. I couldn't agree with him more. We'll come back with that. Also today, Todd Dodge, Westlake football coach, next on SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. They now have pre-made or pre-cooked food. Meatloaf, chicken spaghetti, Texas lasagna. They have beef tips, and I think it may be rice on rice. And it's already made, and you just pick it up. And these are big, large of these Tupperware containers. So you nuke it as you want, cook it as you want, eat it as you want. I'm talking these are big, like probably at least for a couple of people. And that's in the bakery section, along with the cakes and the cookies and the pies and the kolaches and the donuts and the cinnamon rolls. And then you walk to your left, there's a little area there if you want to get a cup of coffee or so. Right there for you just to enjoy your morning or afternoon at Waco Custom Marketplace. And as you move around to the back, here we go. There is the shrine of their butcher shop. Yes, there's seafood, poultry, pork, and then there is beef in every way imaginable. Custom-made steaks, bone-in ribeyes. I brought Paul a bone-in ribeye earlier today. He's going to cook that whenever he wants. It's big and thick. I gave another couple of those yesterday to David, Kay, and big and thick, Taylor Bryan, among others. And oh, by the way, I'll cook one of those myself this weekend. Custom make it as thick as you want, those bacon wrap fillets. Also, yes, if you want something just as simple as sirloin, they have that. A prime rib for a special occasion. And then the hamburger patties they'll make for you. Simple as like also the tri-tip, brisket, there for you. Seasonings, sauces, canned foods, pasta, chips, hot sauce. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Every man knows that you got to get it right in the bed. Hey there, Jay from Pickup Outfitters here to talk about a sensitive issue and asking you, please, don't drive around town exposing your stuff. Please, cover that truck bed. This is a very serious form of truck nudity. Trucks without bed covers, and it's an easy fix. There are so many different types of covers depending on your needs and style, from folding, rolling, locking, retractable, anything from black to silver. even paint to match the original cover of your truck. Now, all these are hard, rigid covers, just like they should be. Now, there are also some soft bed covers, but you know. So don't be driving around with a bare truck bed. It's like letting people peek underneath your covers. It just ain't right. See the different types of bed covers at createacommotion.com/covers. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Stop by our showroom and see all our bed cover displays at Pickup Outfitters, just off of Waco Drive at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Summertime means vacation time, and while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Brand spanking new 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cabs. Now 0% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $10,250 in total values. America's most loyal half-ton pickup owners are Ram owners. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s, from Allen Samuels. Ask for details.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Winning a state championship is something that Todd Dodge has done. As a coach, he was on the cusp of that as a player at Port Arthur Jefferson. And now the head coach of defending champion Westlake. He's been on a long kind of a road trip throughout parts of Texas, including Craig, where he was born in Nacogdoches earlier, and now on his way up to the Dallas and Fort Worth area. Coach, hey, how you doing? Great to have you on the show.
Great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate y'all.
So you're headed up, I think you told me yesterday you're headed up, you're going to see Riley, but this was not how you were going to see him. You were hoping to see him in a game here in about a month. How disappointing was that, knowing, of course, what's going on with the COVID, but how disappointing was that game not being able to be played?
It was. It's quite disappointing. Both of our communities were really looking forward to it. You know, for me and my staff personally, for us, when the UIL approached Riley and I it was a year ago at coaching school about the game, the thing that kind of got me interested in it was the fact that, you know, our kids could get a chance to come up to the DFW area and play in that great venue over at AT&T. You know, in the DFW area teams, if, you know, they get a chance to play in there or or in the Star, you know, early in the playoffs. And, you know, our kids don't get a chance to do that unless you make it all the way to state championship game. So we were really looking forward to that. We were very honored that the UIL thought of our family to match us up, and it is disappointing though.
How competitive would that have gotten in the build-up between the two of you?
Oh, unbelievable! we you know, it's interesting. People, it would have been a fun thing if you knew the two programs, to sit in the stands. And Riley and I would kid about when our teams are warming up to play each other, it would look like synchronized warm up because we'd be doing the same thing at the same time, probably. You know, the same groups come out at the same time, so forth, so on. It's been interesting in the off season. I'm sure for Riley and his staff, but for us, yeah, boy, it really made us have to change a lot of things, not offensively or defensively, but verbiage and signals and the way that you present things at the line of scrimmage, because we are so similar, offensively and defensively. Lee Munn, Riley's defense coordinator, coached for me for 6 years. He was our linebacker coach, and you know, Tony Salazar, my defense coordinator, was kind of his mentor. And so, same offense, same defense, and Riley and I lived in the same house for quite some time.
Coach, obviously there's a lot of similarities. What would you say is the biggest difference in the two of you as far as being coaches?
You know what? Riley has, his internship, so to speak. Obviously, it happened with me as him as a player, as a high school player. But when he got through playing college football, he got a chance to be a GA under Coach Sumlin at A&M, and then he got to be offensive quality control at Texas under Coach Brown, and then followed up by staying on another year with Coach Strong, and then on to Flower Mound Marcus with Jerry Stanford, and then on to Northwest with our dear friend Bill Poe. And so along the way, Riley has the football IQ was expedited, and so there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that Riley and his bunch are doing, especially in the run game. That's been very, very impressive.
You had that game. Now you have Midway. And of course, we're in the Waco area, Midway football, and they were going to play Permian. That's who you played your senior. What was it? Was it your senior year when you played them in the state championship game?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That
1980.
That game gets wiped out because of the changes, and then they had a delay in the UIL. Said, okay, let's play. Then McLennan County said, hold on. But you guys, how quickly did that turn around? That you, hey, we need a game. And you and Jeff Hume or Brad Shelton and you decided, hey, let's get that done.
Well, it became very evident. All three of my non-district games were against DFW teams. Two of them from Tarrant County. That was South Lake Carroll, the first game. And then we were going to host Euless Trinity in Austin. And then our third game, we were going to host Dallas Jesuit in Austin. And I won't bore you with all the details, but circumstances canceled all three of those games. And so in about a 48-hour window, I felt like it was back to realignment week where you're scrambling for games, and I was. And I heard that Jeff was looking for a game. I called him up. Fortunately, he hadn't settled in on anything, and he told me, let me get on the horn and see what's going on with Permian. And I'm sure I don't know exactly what the details of that were, but probably distance, and it makes a lot more sense under these circumstances for Westlake and Midway to get together because in the big picture things were not really that far apart.
You were about to play a schedule that you mentioned. Can you imagine, though, they have you, Duncanville, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, and, of course, there's some teams that are also pretty good. Mansfield schools, Lake Ridge, That's pretty heavy, dude. That says a lot. And we did their games on the radio for like 9 or 10 years, so they've played almost everybody like that. They hadn't played Westlake. They played Lake Travis. That's pretty heavy duty right there.
I tell you, my defensive coordinator, Tony, and I were talking about that after we solidified it, and he said, we have aspirations of having a pretty good football team, but I can guarantee you we'll have the least amount of Division I signees that they'll probably play out of those 6 teams you mentioned.
Stop. You can't give us that.
I think you're kind of splitting hairs
come
there.
Come on. You can't. We're not letting you get away with that, Todd. We're not. Todd Dodge, Westlake football coach, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
How have your kids responded to all this and in a bit of the yo-yo, for lack of a better term, that they've had to go through the last couple weeks?
They've been unbelievable. We started on June 8th like everybody else. We got back into summer condition. We were going 4 days a week. We were running 300 kids from 7 a.m. to about 4 p.m., staying in small groups. And we never had a hiccup. I mean, we were going strong. We took our week off and came back. 2 great days, and then all of a sudden our county pulled the rug out from underneath us and shut us down, and we still are now, which is disappointing. And I think that the coaches across the state of Texas have proven that if they can keep kids safe and they've got a plan, and we're probably sanitizing everything and doing COVID checks a lot more than a lot of places these kids are running off to. I can tell you that. So, but the kids did unbelievable. Now they're back into where they're lifting weights. I hope it's safe. I know they're doing a lot of player led practices and drills and things like that. And I think we got some outstanding leadership that's probably getting better every day on our football team.
Coach, you're no stranger to having a lot of talented players that have gone off to the next level, and you've got some on your current roster as well. One of those players that's receiving a lot of attention is your quarterback, Cade Klubnik, and I know Baylor's offered him. A lot of schools have offered him. I mean, great quarterbacks. How does Cade kind of stack up? What's your scouting report on him, and what are your expectations for him leading your offense?
I'll tell you what, Cade is he probably kept me around in coaching two more years. I can tell you that. I wasn't going to leave it with an outstanding one coming like this. He is a true dual threat quarterback. He reminds me a lot of Hudson Card, the kid that played at Lake Travis. It'll be a freshman at Texas. They're both 6'2.5", kind of thin. Really can run really well. I played him on the varsity as a sophomore, so he played a whole lot of very valuable snaps for us as a sophomore. And, now, if I said it was surprising, I don't know, it's just the type of attention that he's had. I tell you this, the pandemic, and the spring without football actually was pretty good for Cade, because I think everybody had an opportunity to really delve into his video. And he did have some really, really nice starts for us, and really nice playing time for us as a sophomore. Baylor was his first offer, so he really likes Baylor a lot. But I mean, it's anywhere from Baylor to Miami to LSU to he got one from University of Washington yesterday. It's been very, but he's such a great kid. My wife Elizabeth is a coach's kid, and she was his fifth grade teacher. And she told me, she said, I can tell you right now, you're going to probably want to wait around for this bunch, this fifth grade bunch, because she goes, there's serious talent in that bunch. And I said, really? I said, how can you tell? She goes, because they're about knocking me down every day to get to the playground. They're competitive. They want, and it's really interesting. We had 4 kids that were in that group that she was mentioning. They all played on our varsity sophomores last year. So I tell Elizabeth she's a pretty good evaluator of talent.
She needs to be your player personnel director. Todd, what was
well,
it?
She probably could. She's been in this business longer than I have since she was a coach's kid.
In Waco, Texas, you played Allen. And they had been on that stretch with, obviously, with Kyler Murray. And that game was played here in Waco, and you ended their long winning streak. And Westlake's had theirs, and South Lake Carroll, when you were there, has had theirs. What was that game like, and how does that – you've won a bunch of big games and championships, but where does that one rank?
Boy, it right at the top. I mean, it was it's something that – historic run at the big school level going on at that time. That's the longest winning streak that I think anybody in 5A and 6A has ever had. Was the 57 games that Allen had, and I can remember going into that week we weren't given a whole lot of chance outside of our field house, and we just convinced our kids that we had a plan, that we could win. We would break the game down into 7-minute intervals, and that's what we did. And we were able to hang on and win that game. And it was one hell of a accomplishment for us against such a great program.
Todd Dodge, head coach at Westlake, with us on SicEm365 Radio. You went to Nacogdoches to pick up your mother. You're taking her back home. You're going to stop off and see Riley and the family up in Dallas and Fort Worth.
Yep.
It's kind of a nice family road trip right before everything kind of starts to get kicked out?
Absolutely. Liz and I drove to Nacogdoches from Horseshoe Bay yesterday. That's where we live, and so now we're just pulling into Mesquite right now. We're headed over to Riley's house. My mom has not seen the newest great grandchild. So we just had a grandbaby about a month and a half ago, and so we're taking her there. We're gonna stay with Riley and Alexis for a few days, and you never know. We may go play a little golf or something.
Yeah, I bet there will be a little competition involved. I end it with this. I mentioned the game against Permian when you were at Port Arthur Jefferson. I knew Mike Owens because he ended up going to Tyler Lee, and I did their games, and Craig did some of their games as well for a long, long time. Did that game, being so close to a state championship, put extra fire in your belly to win one and then win more than one because you were so close and couldn't get it done, especially that one day?
It absolutely did. As I went through my college career, I started my coaching career. I was the very first year I was in coaching. I was at Rockwall High School, and we went all the way to the state championship and got beat in the finals by West Orange Stark, and that fueled it even more. But I remember back to that game against Permian. We were a half of football, really about a quarter of football away from being maybe still considered one of the greatest teams that Texas had ever seen, with the talent that was on that TJ team, and we were doing things quite differently than everybody else was throwing the football at the time. And after it was over with, we were just another team that got beat in the state championship game. And Permian, Permian came back and got us late in the game. But yeah, it absolutely fueled my fire as a competitor. And it was many, many years later before I ever had a chance to compete against Permian again. I was coaching at South Lake Carroll in 2006, and my son Riley was our quarterback. That was his junior year, and we went to Jones Stadium in Lubbock, and we got him back. And I always tell Riley, I said, "You played a lot better against him than I did." But I think we beat.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Yeah, you
so
did.
That was a very special time too.
Todd, thank you so much. I don't know if you mind if I kind of bring this up. When you were moving around and not sure what was next, and now, of course, you're solid as a rock, and there's no question what you could do at Westlake, and you've done it. You were kind of looking for something, kind of another, maybe a place. It didn't have to be the biggest school. It didn't have to be Todd Dodge at Westlake or South Lake Carroll. And you and I had a couple of conversations about, just kind of finding a place that was a niche. Marble Falls was that for you. Was that you? Were you at the time starting to think about not coaching much longer and just finding a place where you could retire?
Well, no, not really. I'd always loved the Hill Country. I loved the Austin area, obviously, when going to school there. And it was kind of a bucket list for Elizabeth and I to get back at some point in our career to the Hill Country, Austin area. And I'd always loved Marble Falls when I'd gone through there and recruited in my time in college. And so, that 2 years there was a special time. And really what it allowed me to do is after my 5-year stint in college is to put a staff back together. And, that staff that I put together there's about half of them are still with me at Westlake now. And, so we're very, very pleased to be back. I get a coach in the stadium that's named after my father-in-law,
yep.
Evie Neptune Field, every Friday night that we're home, and it's a really special time. So winning that state championship last year, in the 50th year of the school, and the 25th year anniversary of the first state championship, it was a very special day there at AT&T.
No question about it. Hey, man, thank you. I always you always respond almost immediately whenever I've sent out a text trying to get information from you. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the state championship, and good luck when this season eventually launches, and hope we get to play as many games as possible.
Smokey and Paul, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all having me on.
You too. That's Todd Dodge, head coach at Westlake. State championship last year. And, Craig, you mentioned Klubnik. He extended my coaching career probably an extra couple of years. That says a lot about him. When we come back, hey, at 4 o'clock, Hall of Fame safety Ken Houston, Oilers, Redskins. Well, interesting to hear him about the Redskins name. He has a someone that he's related to, Stacy Williams, a former wide receiver at Baylor. Also, Grayson Grundhafer, recruiting. What's up next? From SicEm365, this is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. Man, you should see all the changes inside of the building. They had an area that when you'd walk through the front door, you'd check in, you'd kind of get your card and get checked in, and then you could go off to the right, and there was the big room with all of the machines, Cybex machines, weights, and that's where a lot of people did most of their individual work, some group exercise classes in there. And then there's a room off to the right that's a little bit, not quite as large, but that's where they did a lot of like bar and yoga, Pilates, and other stretching or body shaping. And then there's a spin bike room in the back corner. Then the locker rooms, both spacious, clean, sanitized, and of course with a whirlpool spa type area and a hot tub or sauna. And then when you would walk back towards the tennis courts, it was an area that had kind of a wooden wall that kind of made the thing not look so spacious. They've torn it down. They've taken out the carpet. They've added new carpet. They've done an incredible job. And it's only the beginning. There are major plans to continue to upgrade inside of that, what already was, to me, the way it was, a spectacular, beautiful facility. You want to change your life, you got to walk to the front door. They have tennis lessons, both youth and adult, with tennis pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa, personal trainers in Christy London and Randall Corley, 40-plus group exercise classes every single week. You want it? They got it. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. Change your life, but you have to walk to the front door, Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeshore Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
I don't know. Craig, when did you and Grayson tape the Trust the podcast?
Yesterday morning.
Okay, that's up. But, we have not seen a commitment in football in what seems like forever, and Grayson Grundhafer has to be the one that takes the heat.
I'm with you.
Because he was knocking him out. He was like, hey, I can't say anything, but I can't.
Well, he got married, and all of a sudden, no more commitments happened.
Oh, that'll.
It's like that was the last commitment, I guess, that we're going to get.
God, what the hell, Grayson?
Hey guys, I'm not going to take all the blame for it. On my wedding day, of course, Jackie Marshall committed. He was the last one to commit. So yeah, it has been a long time since the last commit. But hey, the class is getting there. The class is still pretty full, and they're still doing some good things on the recruiting trail. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did you hear Grayson say long time? He's been married for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He's already feeling it.
Craig.
I'm just playing.
No. So is this just kind of as we get to see some of these teams start to get back to, we hope, practicing on Monday, the 5 days and 6 days, 6 days do strength and conditioning until the end of August or so. Your thoughts about, is it just kind of a quiet time, or do you feel like there's something ready to launch again?
So actually, I think a big part of this is really the 2022 evaluation process. You're seeing a lot more 22 offers going out right now by the Baylor staff. So I think they're evaluating those guys a ton. And I think a big reason for that is for 2021 guys, there's not a whole lot you're going to learn on them at this point. So putting out more offers, maybe there will be a few here and there, but I think really they just need to see some guys play before they start putting out more offers. And I think they're also being very selective. They don't have a lot of room left in this class, probably somewhere between 3 and 5 spots left, probably trending to the lower end. So there's really no point in filling things up at this point. And also, like I said, 2022 has also become a little bit of a more focused point.
Grayson, what have you seen from recruits now that they don't have? I know they've got some camps and things that they can get out and do, but because they haven't been able to go onto campuses and they haven't been able to take these visits, what are some of the things that they're doing to kind of to help get their name out there a little bit more?
So, there's a couple kids. I'll just bring up one example because it's probably the most out there example. There's a kid in Nebraska who has a few smaller offers, South Dakota, just some smaller FCS offers, but they've actually started a Zybex training type thing up in Nebraska, and what it is it allows kids to go out and get official testing time. So you're seeing just a bunch of kids in Nebraska starting to have times and have camps and stuff from that, and it really came as a result of the coronavirus. So that's just a really out there example. I think some smaller examples are I guess this is more from the kids' perspective, just going and looking at campuses without actually being able to talk to any of the coaches or anything like that, but just going and getting a feel for the campus and things like that, which I think kids are having to do right now just because of this time period.
Grayson, we just talked to Todd Dodge, and he talked about his quarterback there, and Cade Klubnik mentioned that the first offer he received was from Baylor, but he's obviously picked up a lot of big offers since then. So is he like the kind of guy that you're eyeing for 2022 as far as quarterback recruiting goes? This thing is most people follow that part of the sport. You'd like to get a guy, pretty much every single year to keep your depth, but is that going to be a big-time guy that we're going to be hearing a lot about over the next year?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, there's only been 3 offers by this Baylor staff to quarterbacks in the 2022 class, and he's one of them. So it's him, Connor Weidman out of Bridgeland, and Walker Howard out of Louisiana. Walker Howard's committed to LSU, so it's pretty much just the other 2 left. And Cade Klubnik has been a guy that Baylor's been talking to a whole lot, and Baylor's been building a great relationship with. So Cade's gotten to really know the coaching staff, gotten to build that relationship, and I'm excited to see how he does this year, because last year it was Kirkland Mishu's team at Austin Westlake. He was the guy that led them to a state championship. So now it's going to be Cade's turn this upcoming year, and just really excited to see how he does. And yes, he is going to be a priority for this Baylor staff, at least at the moment, at the quarterback position.
I saw with this Justin Wally out of Mississippi. I saw somebody a minute ago, a young player from Tennessee, saying he's blessed to get an offer. And, of course, they've looked at Florida and elsewhere. Do you feel like their core must and will remain what they can get in Texas? But do you feel, and Rule and company kind of went around a little bit and found places as well, players as well, outside of the state of Texas. But I don't want to say Baylor's becoming a national brand recruiting, but are they getting closer and closer to looking at more of what they need from outside of Texas, especially with specific type names?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be need-based. I mean, you look in the class right now, New Mexico, Missouri, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. I would say Oklahoma and Louisiana are ones that are probably going to be pretty consistent for Baylor, but New Mexico and Missouri, those are pretty random ones and ones that don't always produce a whole lot of talent. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they're going to focus on those 2 states in particular, but I do think you are onto something. I think just like Rule and staff, they're not afraid to go out of state and go find guys that fit what they're trying to do and guys that they can't find in the state of Texas. So, they have no problem doing that, and they're showing it based on the offers and who they have committed currently in this class.
Grayson, have you recovered from your shock over Brian Boland's sudden resignation just a couple of days ago?
No, man. It is still one of the more crazy and just kind of bizarre stories. Just the expectations that were there when he came into Baylor and just kind of everything that he said and everything people got to see from him, it just seemed like the men's tennis program was back on track with him and could be, trending towards the national championship potentially. But as I told you on Trust the Podcast, I think Baylor fans just need to remember there's still a great coach who's about to be the interim coach, Michael Woodson, who I think is going to do a great job with this staff. And he's a guy who's been on staff for a while now. He knows a lot of the players, so he already has a great relationship. So I wouldn't freak out too much about it, but I know for Baylor fans it is a bit of a shock because, it was a shock for me, someone who covers Baylor men's tennis.
Grayson, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Grayson Grunhafer with us on Fridays, 3:45 on recruiting, and also the note about Boland's resignation a couple of days ago and Michael Woodson. And I did speak with Paul, who's the new tennis?
Joe.
No, the new tennis SID.
Max Calderon.
Max Calderon a couple of days ago. In fact, the next day, and he said that they're looking at working on something with Michael Woodson. It might be like a Zoom-type press conference introducing him as I don't know if interim or a head coach. There's a lot of people who like him. He's just young, and, hey, you got to start somewhere.
He is, when it comes to X and O tennis, pretty much as good as it gets.
When we come back, Hall of Fame safety, Ken Houston, SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac has been employee pricing over the last month. You've been able to pay what employees pay all month, and, hey, still got a little bit of time. Take advantage of that while you can. Right now, qualified buyers save over $7,000 on 2020 Acadias or Yukons. You can also save over $6,000 on GMC Terrains. They've got the perfect crossover SUV in the Buick Encore. It's got a quiet ride, a roomy interior, all the latest safety features and the latest tech. Right now, it's available, the Buick Encore, for only $19,900, a savings of $6,000 on a 2020 Encore. If you're looking for luxury, style, and power in a new SUV, well, check out the Cadillac line of the XT4s, XT5s, or the even roomier 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. The XT4 right now, available for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. You get great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service. All comes with your vehicle purchase at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business. So stop by their showroom, which is disinfected daily, and see their safety-focused staff. Or if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable about venturing out still, they can bring the test drive to your home, because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at Richard Carr, that's KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
Morton's play was a rollout designed to get the ball to Walt Garrison, a man so tough he played in the Super Bowl with a broken collarbone and gained more than 100 yards. And suddenly, as if in a cockeyed dream, there was Cam Houston restraining Garrison at the 1-yard line and throwing him back to preserve a victory that had been celebrated long before the final gun.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
I don't know of anyone who may have played the game with more ferocity, with more physicality, and there were some great safeties over the years from Dick Knight, Train Lane, and, of course, Mel Blount, Jack Tatum, Ed Reed, one of the more modern-day greats, but Ken Houston, former Oiler and Redskins safety, Pro Football Hall of Famer, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. The way the game can, and thank you so much, I love your style when you played. With the way the game is officiated today, how would that have affected you?
I probably would have been out of the game. And I know I wouldn't have made no money, you know. But we played the game on a little bit more of an upbeat situation. And I'm not saying it was the right way to play it, but that's what we did.
Do you think that part of it right now that the you guys played hard and you led with your head and all of that, but even still, the form tackling was much better back then. Do you think part of the concern about the rules is that people kind of quit tackling the right way?
Well, if you tackle the right way, that's the most vicious way you can tackle, because it's almost like a side-on collision, where you have to take your head across the body, immediate impact, and you stop a guy in his tracks. We hit with the arm, the forearm. We might run up there and knock him down, but unless you hit what they call a clothes hanger, you really didn't hurt him. But nowadays, the way they're taught to hit, it's impact, and impact is what always hurts.
Ken, you were known for being a phenomenal athlete outside of just football as well. There's a lot of debate in current times about multi-sport athletes or kids focusing on one sport or another. How much did playing multiple sports help you in your career athletically, and what would you advise, if anything, for parents who are trying to determine whether a child should focus on one thing or expand their horizons and play multiple sports?
A person should expand to the horizon and play multiple sports, because I thought I had a scholarship in basketball, and they wanted a teammate of mine, Wiley Smith, and we ended up going to Prairie View on a football scholarship. So I was football, basketball, track, and a swimmer. And I think that the isolation to one sport is more about coaches than it is players, because these kids should play multiple sports, and the conditioning fits all, and it helps them be a better person at what they do, but they need to be given time to do it.
Ken, you were playing at a time back when the traditional, historically black colleges and universities were feeding the NFL with amazing names. Not only you, but others. You went, of course, to a school at Dunbar because Lufkin High School was not available. If you came out now, you would be one of those five-star guys that got offers from everywhere around the country. Do you still, if you could trade what you went through then to what you could have been today, would you still want what you went through in the 60s?
Yeah, I would. There are some things that I would not want to go through that I went through the 60s.
Sure.
But I wouldn't trade my choice of college football, because I played with some of the greatest athletes ever in the Southwest Athletic Conference. And the Hall of Fame has proven that. But, there's a life other than sports. And I think if a person can take sports and mix it into his life, instead of taking his life and letting it become the ultimate sport, then you're a much better person. And so I think that at this point, I'm a much better person than I would have been if I just had been a football player per se. I've had a chance. And trust me, there are things that I don't like. But one thing that I do like is my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I can't trade that. And what I did do, I spent every day living it, not wanting to live someone else's life. I'll give you a quick football story. Reinfeldt became a coach. He played for me in Houston. And we had a head coach by the name of Gary Gunville. He was second defense coordinator. And so Reinfeldt was telling me the story that they had played the Houston Oilers, and Earl Campbell had split heads at first half. And so Glanville came up to him and told him, said, "Hey, look, Reinfeldt, this is how you do this. You take that off and you put your shoulders down And so Ryan looked at him and threw him his helmet and said, now you go do it. It ended the conversation. So once you've been a part of something, it's not like it's printed up to be or like it came out to be. It's about like it is. And you can't waste your life waiting for somebody to do something for you or comparing what would have been. Like I said, maybe there are things that were different. Okay, that were set out wrong. I'll even say that. But I didn't spoil my life. I worried about it, but I taught my kids in a different manner. And so, it's like everything else. And I think this is a prime example in life right now as to what's going on. I can think maybe up until a couple of weeks ago, coronavirus didn't have a name. And then my first cousin died down in Corpus Christi from Crockett, Texas, Broderick Davis. And then Earl Thomas died, and I knew him, played with Mike, and all three of his brothers are dead now. And so it's taking on a new face and giving everything a new meaning. And I think you have to adjust to that, And so my deal is that even back then, things came my way that I felt was different. I met my wife. She was a PhD in mathematics from Prairie View. I met everything that I met was there at Prairie View. And it was a life for me, and I lived it because I chose not to live my life after anyone else. That's what God had given me. And so because of that, I am happy.
What a great way to look at that. And Ken Houston, Hall of Fame safety with us on SicEm365 Radio.
You had an NFL record that stood for 25 years in the return touchdowns. And, I mean, you had 5 in 1 year, and then Devin Hester kind of went bananas there in 2006. What is it like to hold the record that long? That's not easy to do, returning a touchdown, because it's such a crazy play, and all it takes is one guy with the right angle to knock you off course. But what was it like having a record for that long?
It was really kind of like unbelievable. And if you go back to the records, records changed over the years. Then they started adding returns by punt for touchdown, and I would like to go back and see how many of his were actually interceptions returned for touchdown. I don't know. But I do know when they started adding in, like I had a couple of returns that were from block punts and stuff like that. So if the record is clear, I'd like to know what the clear, not that I need it or want it, but I just like to know what it is. So when you change a rule about a record, I think it should be at least a reason as why you changed it is because over the years, sports changed. And I take my hat off to Devin Hester. I know him. He's a tremendous player. I pull for the players now. Records are made to be broken. And for you to your name to be even mentioned this late in the game is something within itself. I've talked to my son-in-law. He went to Baylor State. I hate to say that. But we were talking earlier today. And he said, called me Dad. He said, Dad, he said, you play with guys and you hear him say those guys are great. And I never hear you say anything. And I tell them the story all the time about the famous Carlisle Indians that played in the NFL years ago. And he had a bet at halftime that he could drop kick a football 50 yards one way and turn around and drop kick it 50 yards the other way. And so the players had heard about it. And so this player stopped at halftime to see this feat or this honor. And he tried it out. And he drop kicked it to one end, turned around, drop kicked it to the other. And then all the players just kind of spotted in and didn't say nothing. So players that have played, Jim Thorpe was the guy. Players that have played for years, they know great players and they know great plays. And so a lot of times, all of them are great. Anybody that played the game, there's a degree of, I take my hat off on them and I respect them. But everybody can't be a great player. This is a great play or whatever. I think the ones that people talk about years from now, not when you're doing it, or the people that know you, people like you guys that watch the game. You watch all of those players. It would be different for me now to get up and even question what you guys are saying because you're watching every game, every play. And so what I do, I'm satisfied with my play in sports. And it has never been about me. I was an offensive center. I was number 6 at Prairie View. They gave me 2 left shoes. I 11 when I started. I would end up being drafted as safety and never played safety in my football career. I was an outside linebacker third year and ended up transcending that position that sport at my position. And I look at it now and it's like somebody else played. None of this was never about me. It was a gift that was given me. So I have to understand that it was a gift, not something that I did. I was just fulfilling. The reason I'm talking to you now is what I did 50 years ago. And so God has given me a platform, a reason to talk to people, a reason to respect people, a reason to speak where not my word, but God's word can be heard. Okay, and I'm not just saying that because it was, to me, all this was in the beginning. You were chosen to be radio guy. You were chosen. And so you've done a good job at it, and you have been given a platform to pass on the information that was given to you to give to us. Because I'm listening to you, so I want to stop right now and thank you guys for having me on.
Oh my God, Ken! I'm a lifelong Washington Redskins fan from the days in the early '60s. My grandmother may have had a little bit to do with brainwashing me, but that's okay. And you, of course, started playing for them in 1973. I've interviewed a lot of people. We took a picture one time. I don't know what city it might have been, but we stood there. You and I took a picture with a couple of others on Radio Row. This is fantastic.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
Remember that? Yeah, absolutely. When you were walking around as well. So we've met you at Radio Row, and this is a thrill to have you.
That.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, Ken, I know we're going to ask you more about your time in Washington. I think Smokey's going to get to that in a second. But before that, your time with the Oilers, I mean, being from Houston originally, getting to play in your hometown, so to speak. I know you circled back again as a coach, but just – the Oilers are kind of a distant memory for especially the younger generation. They've never even existed, really. What do you think of when you look back on the Oilers organization and your time with the Oilers?
Well, when you look at the Houston Oilers, right away you think about Earl Campbell because he was a beast. Some team always identify with a guy always identify with it. And they have some great players. I played with Elvin and I played with Pasqualini and whatever. But Earl Campbell is the guy, when I walk in the room right now, I'll be looking, where's Earl? So I go up and look at him, and I had an opportunity to tackle him, and I'll never know how it happened, what happened. But you do better tackling the lead blocker than you would Earl Campbell. And so when you get that identification with them, I always identify, they had great players. And it's fortunate and unfortunate, the team had to move on. And I remember Adam real well, a guy that I think should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. But it's just, it's an honor to, now I'm in my first Redskins are not the Redskins anymore. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm looking at the fact that there will be, I still won't have a team per se. But I'm going to try to make every stadium, okay?
Yeah, I just realized that you're now a Hall of Fame safety, one of the greatest that played the game at your position and the game itself. And neither one of those teams, the Oilers are gone and the Redskins' name is gone. What's that like?
Well, I'll tell you what it's like to me. I was sitting in my closet the other night, and I'm looking for every Oilers jersey and every Redskins jersey I can find. I'm going to sign them up and give them to my granddaughter.
Yeah, those definitely be some
when you played with the guys of the team. So, like when
right.
Bobby Mitchell or Charlie Taylor, and being an older player now, every time I put it in, when I can figure out how to open my telephone, you're losing a guy. Some guys down with cancer. I've had I'm going in my second bout right now with cancer. I thought I was all set to get out here 3 weeks ago, and I had leukemia, and it had ended. I had defeated it, and then they told me I had lymphoma.
Oh man!
And then you're like, and the reason it sounds like I'm not laughing because of what happened. I'm laughing because I thought I had it made. And I had basically been to the end of life. I think that I was actually there. I think that I was getting ready to leave this earth. And God delivered me. He delivered me. I mean, I went from not being able to walk to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to being at the Super Bowl. And then I went from being at the Super Bowl to be in 3 weeks. So now it's just one quick deal. I was at the point where I knew that I could see hell. I could see hell, and I'm thinking, Lord, if I have to die, that's not where I want to go. And all of a sudden, these two big pipes just start bubbling up, and one of them had forgiveness and forgiveness and forgiveness, and it just bubbled all over this big open field. And I thought to myself, you have been forgiven. And then the other one had a partial written 10 Commandments. And they was telling me, go and sin no more. And so God delivered me when I was on my deathbed. I was in the hospital maybe like 2.5 months. And so I tell people, I'm not ever ready to go, but he gave me a new lease on. And it's like you guys with the radio show. You think that, it's about you because you bring people in that people know or whatever, but you don't know the whole story. The story was the guy that plays football. The only thing that exists is his body and memory. Okay, and for all of this time, it wasn't there because I was a great football player. It was there because I could deliver the message that God wanted that somebody might be listening to. And that's why I thank you guys, for having me on, because otherwise you're giving me a voice, not as a player, but you've given me a voice about the player.
Oh my God!
And if I can tell a little bit about it, I know you guys got a show.
No, good.
I want to thank you for that.
Yeah. Ken, do you realize how powerful what you just said was? Do you? We've had callers, listeners, who have told us about dark times in their life where we might have helped them get through a dark, period. That some of them were even suicidal, or some of them were deep into addictions, and we've had people along the way. You were just talking about seeing one way or the other. Like, that's where you're going, and that's incredible. And for you to even say that story is amazing. That's incredible.
Well, that's the only story I got out of it, because I went from death to being at the Super Bowl in 3 weeks.
Golly. Yeah.
So I asked my doctor about it, and so my story is when I see all the guys, I tell them that story. Because at the end, it's just me and this dog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, it's just me and this dog. So, you guys have this voice every day. And, I think, I'm a great sportscaster. And you are. But you've been given a platform. So, and it's not you. We've all been given a platform, and it's all different. Just like I may have been good at my sport. You guys are good. I remember Dave from down to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I remember that. So I, again, I thanks for meeting you. I think you guys have to do this every day. So that's good. I appreciate that.
I'm fired up for life.
Yeah,
I really am. I've been enjoying this.
Great way to.
It's a great
Friday show. Yeah. We have Cotton Davidson, who played with the Raiders, and Colt. She's going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We recorded that earlier today.
Who's that in the 5 o'clock hour?
Yeah, that's Cotton Davidson's going to be in the next hour. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
Cotton is older than me.
Oh yeah, no, Cotton's 88.
Yeah, 88.
Ken,
yeah.
The Redskins, and you played during the time George Allen, eventually Jack Pardee, and of course we know Joe Gibbs had the greatest run of anybody there, and it's a long, used to be and has been for many years a proud franchise, but man, they're a mess. The name change, your thoughts about that, but also there's the scandal within the organization. Ron Rivera seems to be, my God, maybe a gift from God if he can help turn them around in a way. I know that's football terms, but how disappointed are you right now and what's been going on, and they just don't seem to get out of their own way?
Well, it's like the movie On Any Given Sunday. Okay? On any given organization. If you dig into it deep enough, you're gonna find some things that you don't like. Okay? And so when one team has been stretched out and everybody's beating on them, they're players. And everybody didn't do that. But the organization has to suffer. all the players have to suffer. So it's not like I wish that I had been perfect, but I haven't been. So my, give me a good word for it, my blaming or thinking somebody else doing the wrong thing, I just pray to God that they get the same chance that I did. Same thing with the Redskins. Hopefully guys didn't do that. Hopefully whatever didn't do that. But anywhere there's attention focus, if you dig deep enough, you're going to find something. So I would pray that nobody or everybody has to go through that, and just pull for the people who are suffering right now. Just pull for those people that are suffering. So, again, when it comes to the name, and if it's offensive, and it apparently is, and I know things were offensive to me, change it. It's not going to change the brand of football they play. They'll come out there and they'll play just as hard. They're going to play just as well as they can for those 60 minutes. And for those 60 minutes, you don't have time to look by. You better not be looking away thinking about what somebody has done. It's the Bible. And so, I'm telling you, it's the Bible and forgiveness. It's the Bible and forgiveness. I told you, when God showed me that I had been forgiven, I mean, it changed my life. And let's band behind. Let's get rid of all the wrong. Let me say that, okay? Nothing that we doing right now started in 1967 or 1973 or 1776. All of this started in the beginning. And that's what I try to base my life on, in the beginning. And that way I don't get focused up on too much of what people are doing. I get focused on what God has given me. And it's a full-time job every day. Just keeping me clean.
Yeah.
Okay, keeping my thoughts clean and my spirit clean, So go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's just amazing. You mentioned Baylor earlier. Stacy Williams, is that your son-in-law?
Yeah, it's my son-in-law.
Yeah.
I'm trying to send him back to Baylor, too.
Yeah.
I believe he's listening. He's following us on Twitter. So
he's on there listening. Oh, my goodness. This is...
Listen, he's the only one that's has to use Twitter. That's why I keep him around.
I do
Lord.
have a question about George Allen.
Yeah.
Because you played for him. Bill Belichick is the guy now who gets all the, he's crafty and he knows how to bend things and, he's gotten popped for, breaking some rules. But George Allen was kind of like that when in his era of coaching and finding different ways of knowing everything. What was it like playing for him and having to take in all the things mentally he would throw at you because he knew all the rules backwards and forwards and how to push that line?
Yeah, right. Football mentally, you couldn't beat George. I was one of the general helped call signals. So every day he would go to Marriott. They put about 50 napkins out there, and he'd go through all his plays and stuff like that. That was a good thing. A great thing was he would take those napkins and give them to the guys who called the plays and say, come back tomorrow and show me what won't work. And so he wouldn't ask players to do things that they couldn't do. He let players do things that they could do. And so out of the 6-7 years, I guess I was there with him, I never heard him use a swear word. Not one time. And a week before he passed away, I got a letter from him. Just wanted to know how I was doing.
Wow.
So there are guys in football that, people say, well, he's this and he's that and he's that. Well, you got to understand, you're very close to on the football team. Your coach should be like the boss. It should be somebody that you could sit down and discuss stuff with. I didn't know everything. He knew a heck of a lot more than I did, but he would bring in the right combination of guys who could change the play on the field while the game was going on, and then go back and tell him what we did. He gave you that kind of, and he could take an older guy because he realized that the Redskins didn't play the Redskins, so we didn't kill each other off during the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting ready to retire in Houston. I was 27. And 27 or 28, I was getting ready to retire, and I got traded. I left in the locker room, and I could have played 10 more years, because that's the kind of guys I look at now and see. Sonny Jurgensen, who's probably 90 years old now, for truth be told. But he was in the locker room. Pat Fisher was right behind Sonny, Charlotte Taylor. And so we didn't practice, we played because we realized playing was the most important thing. So if you want something to work, get players. You don't have to make players. Players are born. Get the guy that can play, and he's not a project. And there are a lot of people that can play, and it's just like when you have somebody in your radio field, you guys go, man, this guy's good. He has the force. He has that. So you don't have to go in there and make nobody. Those people are born with that gift. Okay, so that makes my little nickel work.
Ken, thank you. I wish we had more. I wish we had like 5 more hours today because we like to take what are the elite interviews, the ones that are about emotion and insight and life and whatever, or just amazingly fun, and you've given us all of that. I can't thank you enough. Lufkin, I'm on the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame committee, and then also Texas Sports Hall of Fame. You've been a part of all these Hall of Fames, but I am Chad Conine, and there's a few others that are doing everything we can to restore the memories and the history of the old Prairie View High School Athletic League. We've had Joe Green from Temple Dunbar, and we've had others. We had Warren McVeigh. Mm-hmm. No, Jerry Levias recently, and names of these schools that are no longer in existence, but we want to make sure that they never disappear. And you're one of the reasons why. And God bless you, and thanks for your story.
Thank you. Let me say this one more time. Joe Green is my brother-in-law now, right?
Yeah, that's how we met you at the Super Bowl, I think. That's exactly right. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, in those skins, remember?
Yeah.
But anyway, I like what you guys are doing. Continue to do what you do. And my wife and my daughter is a teacher and here in Noble, and she's kicking me. No, but listen, let's pray for the world, guys. We need it every good.
Tell Gusty we said hi, and also thank you very much. And I'm going to send you a link, Ken, to this interview. I'll text it to you. You can send it to whoever you want, family, former teammates, whatever. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, listen, and anytime you guys need me, I'm here.
Yeah, well, you may regret saying that.
Yeah. No. I'm a good feeling.
No, you're fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Ken Houston. God Almighty, fantastic. Lufkin Dunbar, Prairie View A&M, Oilers, Redskins, Hall of Famer across the board. Whew.
Yeah, he was great. He was incredible, and it's been great to catch up with a lot of legends, and he certainly applies there. And he had a lot of really interesting and insightful things to say. So that was a lot of fun, man. Really enjoyed that. I will add, though, before you guys share your thoughts, I do have some baseball news that we can come back with, not only on the Rangers, but also on Major League Baseball in general. There's the word shutdown being floated out there, and I can tell you guys why that's being floated out there. But that's come down here in the last 30 minutes, although I did not let that distract me from the greatness that was Ken Houston.
Yeah, there's some definitely news with the Rangers that also may be a part of this. When we come back, thanks to Ken Houston, 5 o'clock, our lengthy interview with Cotton Davidson as well. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine. I went there a couple weeks ago, went through the drive-thru, and it's easy. Sometimes you think about drive-through and there's going to be a line or whatever, how they're going to do this. This is the easiest thing in the world. You drive right up and you tell them exactly what you want and they hand it to you. Or say you don't want to go to the drive-thru. The store is pristinely clean. It's absolutely fantastic. You go in there and you say you want to look at some of the great craft beers they have in that big walk-in fridge. You can go in there and do that. They have the widest variety of craft beer in Waco. So if you're a craft beer fan, get to Riverbend Liquor and Wine, corner of Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street here in Waco. It's a hidden gem. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you need recommendations, they can do that for you as well. I'm looking for this, or if you're looking for a wine pairing, or hey, what do you think about this? They gave us to try some chocolate whiskey, which has been a big hit of people that have come in to my house recently. They want something that's kind of a dessert beverage. It's fantastic. I would never thought that, but it is. And they gave us that recommendation. They gave us the opportunity to try that. They're fantastic. Riverbend Liquor and Wine at the corner of Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Summertime means vacation time, and when you hit the road, do it in the vehicle of summer, Jeep. At Allen Samuels, it's our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Get employee pricing on brand new 2020 Jeep Gladiator Sport Editions, plus an additional $1,500 in retail bonus cash. And ask about 0% and no payments for 90 days on other Jeep models. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
In the market for a quality metal building since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, this is one of those things that there was always the possibility that there could be a little bit of uh-oh. And there's some stories out of baseball, the Rangers, that all could be connected together, not just players, but also those attached to teams, even broadcasters. Craig?
Yes, a couple of notes here from the world of baseball. The Rangers radio broadcasts are going to sound a little bit different for a little while, as the team has announced that 2 Tier 3 employees have tested positive for COVID-19 after their opening homestand. One of those employees is Matt Hicks, Rangers play-by-play man. So he is off the broadcast as of right now. Broadcasters and other media, according to Jeff Wilson, have had no contact with on-field personnel. But Eric Nadel has also now opted out of broadcasting games this weekend from Globe Life Field as a result. So no Matt Hicks, no Eric Nadel on the Rangers broadcast. Jared Sandler apparently will be handling play-by-play duties, but Nadel doesn't have it. He's just being precautionary, but Matt Hicks does.
David Murphy will be number 2 in the booth, former Baylor star. And then also this story.
Yeah.
This is even baseball commissioner warns of a shutdown if coronavirus isn't better managed.
Yeah, Jeff Passan came out with this in the last hour. Said breaking MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has told the MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark on Friday that if the sport doesn't do a better job of managing the coronavirus, it could shut down for the season. Sources tell ESPN. Passan continues. This weekend is seen as a crucial juncture for the sport, both in terms of hoping for a limit of positive tests and in players abiding by protocols. Local health officials have been troubled by the lack of mask wearing, high-fiving, and spitting by players, according to sources. The conversation was between Manfred and Clark was not a threat, but a reality check that was relayed to players and has spread quickly among them. And then he says, he basically tells his followers that we need to clean this up because if we don't, Major League Baseball in 2020 is going to be over.
Yeah, that could.
I mean, it took one weekend for the Marlins to wreck this.
Yeah,
and it's not because
typical Marlins then.
And what I thought, and maybe I just gave too much faith to a professional athlete, adult millionaire, that they would understand that, hey, you know what, this is different. I'm going to have to do things differently. And some of the things that we do during the season that we normally get to do, we're not going to get to do, and we're going to have to pass it up.
Play the game, take treatment, get back to the hotel or home, and stop.
I know it sucks, but it sucks for all of us.
Look, man, you can do the exact same thing I'm doing, but you get to do it in a home that is about 100 times bigger than my apartment, in a garage filled with cars, and no money running out of your bank account because of the money you're making. If I can entertain myself enough to do what I need to do to not spread this thing, then you sure as hell can do it too. Like, screw the excuses, man.
Exactly. So it took them a week to do it, and Major League Baseball needs to, they need to wrangle it. And when you can have, and that's what I just thought that when we had an outbreak, it was just be one of those things that you just couldn't quite control, that, somebody gets it because of their kid or something like that, and then they go in the locker room, they didn't know, it was in that window where you wouldn't have been tested, and then all of a sudden 15 people have it. Like, that to me is something you can't really avoid if you're an adult and a professional athlete and living with a family, not in a bubble and all that. But to have it because you couldn't not go to a strip club, you couldn't, just do everything. And look, Miami is already the hot spot of all hot spots, maybe in the world right now. Mm-hmm. So they were already up against it, and they even got it in another city.
Yeah, they got it because they were out having fun in Atlanta, allegedly, is what happened. Yeah. So, yeah, the stories that we've seen, you're absolutely right. There's going to be guys like Matt Hicks. I don't think he was probably being stupid. I think he just, came across somebody who had it or whatever. So that's going to happen. That's like any other sickness. But we're also seeing a number of these guys who, their actions prior to getting it weren't the actions that they should have been taking. We had the basketball player who went and picked up the food out at the strip club at Magic City, whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Lou Williams.
Yeah, he doesn't have it.
The guy walked across the street to get a pizza.
Yeah, a guy walked across.
Left the hotel.
They're breaking protocols left and right and partying and not taking it all that serious, and it's just inexcusable. You're either in or you're out. And if you have a problem with not being able to go out to Magic City and not being able to go out and get wings or whatever the case may be, if that's too hard for you, opt the F out and get out of the game and let the players who are trying to do it the right way do this thing, because you're just hurting everybody.
By the way, have you seen? Yeah, I agree across the board. Have you seen the quote from Bill Belichick?
No.
Someone was asking him. This is great. So Bill Belichick did a Zoom deal, okay? And one of the quotes was about there's no preseason. And he said, well, it's kind of like what they did back when football first started in 1870 with Rutgers.
He would know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he was alive back then.
He's a historian.
Yeah.
He knows everything.
So now, a couple of other notes.
I guarantee you he has plays in his playbook that came out of Walter Camp's.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I promise you that Bill Belichick has that.
But, that's his old mentality of hey, they did it back then with no problems. Why can't we do it now?
Yeah.
And that's something that so many people can't relate to.
Carl Campbell on the text line, brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, saying that Rutgers, remember, they had a big party. Students had a huge party, shut their sports down. So the bag of chips, we'll get to that in a minute. We've gotten some names of some chips I never heard of.
But you're right. The Rutgers thing, the Michigan State thing, it seems like the schools or the teams that have taken it seriously have had a case pop here and there. Like, it's not entirely avoidable, but it does appear that it can be pretty avoidable if you just do the things that you're supposed to do, like washing your hands or wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart or whatever the case may be. And there's just, in pro sports right now, guys with millions of dollars of income can't do that. Can't do that for a few weeks, even though that's what they're getting paid to do and why they are millionaires, but whatever.
No, I know. Hey, by the way, if you didn't hear Ken Houston, I just said on the guest lineup thread on SicEm365.com, Ken Houston, man, from Baylor 88 Bear, absolutely.
Yeah, he was great.
A lot of you have also made comments about it. Our buddy Jason, Midway Jason, said, by the way, when Westlake and Midway open up the year, they'll have 138 wins since 2014, which is among the top 5 or 6 teams in the state of Texas since 2014. That doesn't surprise me.
I wonder where
whatsoever.
Midway is as far as teams with the most wins over, let's say, the last decade, but without a title. I would have to think they're pretty high up there.
Yeah, got to be up there.
Yeah, I would have to think that they're – I don't know if they'd be top 10 because if you're including all classifications or not, you'd know better than me. But
DeSoto finally got theirs. Duncanville's gotten theirs. North Shore's got – no, Duncanville actually didn't.
They have not.
They've had 2 heartbreakers.
So they'd have to be
They
at
had
the
won
top.
a title back a long time ago, though. You're talking about in recent years.
Well, I'm talking if you're going over the last 10-year stretch, as far as the teams that didn't win titles, who has the most wins.
In other words, like Longview was forever.
Right. Longview before the state title would have been maybe number 1, quite frankly.
All right. Man, that's crazy, that baseball story.
Well, I don't think they're anywhere close to shutting it down. I think they're just sending out the warning of hey.
Hey, if you have, almost 20 guys that get knocked out, that can't keep happening. Like, one team can figure out a way and pull guys off the street and pull people up from the taxi squad, and they can make it work for a couple weeks because there's plenty of able-bodied guys available that, can come up and make it through a 9-inning baseball game for a couple weeks with the Marlins. I mean, there's free agents and all that they can do. But if it happens to the Marlins, and then it happens to the Mets, and it happens to the Padres, and it happens to the Astros, and so on and so forth, then you can't keep doing that.
You think Derek Jeter regrets his Marlins investment yet?
Nope. I don't think so.
This was from MLB and MLBPA, their latest testing results. It says 29 to date, the results of monitoring testing are as follows. The number of monitoring samples collected and tested in the past week, 11,895. 29 of the 11,895 samples, which is 0.2%, have been new positives. 20 positives were players, 9 were staff members, 21 of the 29 were from a single MLB club. 21 of the 29 from the Marlins.
That's Florida, yeah.
The remaining 29 clubs had 8 positives, 2 players, 1 alternate site player, and 5 staff.
Yeah.
The total number of monitoring samples collected and tested so far has been 40,783.
Think about that. And then you got places that you can't get it yet, or you can't get it quick enough. Well, they got the money. They're paying for it. So TJ said, problem now is some guys will see this and bow out on the safe side, which, we'll see what happens with that. Now, on the chips thing. Paul, who did you say? You're a
Pringles.
Pringles. Craig, Doritos?
I like Pringles. It's actually my go-to right now at home, but I don't buy them at the gas station. So I went with taco-flavored Doritos. It's very random, I know.
No. There's the spicy, right? There's spicy Doritos.
It's like Doritos with taco seasoning, basically. So there's a little kick to it and a little tortilla crunchy flavor.
We've had pork skins, which leads to needing a beer.
Which needs some kind of liquid.
Ruffles are better than Lay's. Chili cheese Fritos. I've had a bag of those or two.
Who said Ruffles are better than Lay's?
Nick Morgan.
Okay.
I don't believe that.
Now,
I'll tell you,
Colin Chapman answered. He had a great thing. Zapp's Chips Voodoo flavor. I've had those. Those are
kind of those are not really in line with what I was talking about, but kind of as far as like a kick and this little spice to it type of deal. Yeah, those Voodoo chips are really good.
Debbie Anderson said Cheetos.
They're just so messy. That's the only downside to Cheetos. They're so messy.
Spicy chicharrones.
Chicharron, yeah. That's pork rinds.
I want to get back, and of course, Jason King throws a regular Lay's, spicy Cheetos, chili cheese Fritos, and I've had some chili cheese Fritos.
Chili cheese Fritos good.
Lay's cannot be beaten out by Ruffles.
I don't know. Ruffles are sturdier.
What about the Lay's wavy? The ones that have the
I mean, that's just them trying to be Ruffles.
Trying to be Ruffles.
When
really,
I have. No, Ruffles is when I have ramen noodles. You know, the little pack that costs like.
You put Ruffles in them?
No.
Oh.
I cook it. I love it. I've been having that since I was a kid in Japan. I'll get it. I'll get a bag if I have it. I'll try to get a bag of a new bag that has the larger pieces of Lay's, and I'll take the noodles, kind of twirl them around on my fork, a little bit of them, and I'll put them on. For some reason, I love it on a Lay's potato chip.
That's odd.
It's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Smokey, I've seen this. People do like a ramen burger where each side of the bun is ramen noodles.
Really?
Like you cook it on a grill.
That's interesting. Here's another one.
There's a way.
Huh.
Oh, golly.
I want to
Now we're getting a bunch of them.
Yeah, I know that ramen was, at least for a little while there, kind of I mean, I don't know. I guess restaurants aren't getting as much coverage right now, but kind of when the food industry was, its own entertainment industry in some ways, like ramen became a very big thing. And I have not yet been to any of the ramen places where they like really soup it up. And you have like the egg in there and the meats and all that, but I need to check that out.
I used to walk off the Air Force Base either at Chofu when we were at Kantamura Air Base, which was no longer a base, but it was a neighbor family type place with some there were some intelligence parts of that base, and my dad was at Fuchu. Then we went to Yokota. What we do when we go off the base, we'd find the various restaurants and we did the big bowl of the ramen noodles, and we learned how to add ham, or you had, like you said, an egg,
chicken.
We've got a really good place here in town.
Where?
Coco Ramen.
Where's that at?
I think it's in Union Hall.
That Baylor?
Yeah, no. On Franklin, the Union Hall has it's like a big food court. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it's run by the Guest Barbecue people. So.
Okay, but my uncle Dan Edwards, by the way, played at Gatesville just prior to Cotton Davidson's years, and went on to be an All-American at Georgia. So you've had those two guys, and of course Torian Henderson, the great running back. They both played with the Colts. He's talking about Dan Edwards and also Cotton Davidson. Cotton Davidson joins us at 5 o'clock.
Going back to Japan for a second, there's a lot of places in the world I would like to see. I'm well-traveled across the country. I'm pretty well-traveled, probably versus the average person. Not so much internationally, which I'm fine with. I've never really tried to go out and go to England for a week or anything like that. I probably will, though, before my time's up. But one place I most definitely want to go is Japan. I want to go to Japan. I'm just fascinated by the culture.
You'd love it.
And things like that. And for some reason, that is always the place I think of going.
It'd be hard to tell me that's growing up as a up until you go to college. That might have been my best 4 years.
Okay, you ask how to do the ramen burger. You do it. So you boil the ramen noodles. Then you beat an egg in it, and then you put it in the fridge with a bowl, in a bowl over it, so it flattens for 20 minutes. And when it gets good and cold and kind of congealed, then you put that on the grill, and then that's your bowl.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How did somebody come up with that? Somebody actually was just in their kitchen.
Well, you go, you watch Guy Fieri or Bobby Flay and all that. That's my favorite channel now.
Well, it was probably from what's the cooking show over there on the timer? It's like, hey, you've got ramen noodles and you got to make a burger
Iron
out of
Chef.
it. Yeah. No, I guess it is Iron Chef.
Yeah.
But.
So here's a tweet. Well, to hit the break with this. With pro athletes demonstrating the difficulties in following health protocols procedures, what confidence should we have that high school programs won't suffer the same consequences? Many students don't have health insurance. No school can institute a bubble. I would think it would be tougher on the college level. When the kids, if in fact anyone ever gets back on campuses, that's when you're talking about
you've
thousands
already seen what's
people.
happened with Rutgers when there's not thousands of people, and they're just in a big metropolitan area. And then not only that, you just with high schools, I think the one thing that gives me a little optimism about high schools is if you have a coach that's doing his job, which most of the coaches are, and we talk to great coaches every day on this show, that if my coach tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. But the older I get, the less likely I am to do that.
Yeah, I actually have more faith in the high school kids to stick with orders versus the professional players. The college players are going to be tough, but I think that we're seeing that those who really are led well and believe in what they're doing are having some success, at Oklahoma, for example. Even Baylor's latest numbers, they're taking it seriously. So it's about how seriously you take it. And I think these high school students want to play their senior year, so I think they'll take it seriously.
You don't want to play? Play grab ass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with these pros.
From the colleges to the pros to the high schools.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with these NBA guys or the MLB guys who are testing positive and not taking it serious.
See, that's when you've been spoiled and entitled. You're in this bubble and you just walk out of the bubble across the street to get a pizza.
I mean, if that's just a slip up because you didn't know because it was early on, and who knows with all these rules and everything like that, that's one thing. But it's very clear that there are some people that are not giving the rules. I wanted to mention, though, like the person who asked that question about high schools and colleges and all that, it was pretty funny that UT sent out an email today to students telling them that they will not allow students to hold parties on or off campus during the fall semester.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll be highly successful in curtailing all of the parties across Austin, Texas of your students. So,
by the way, UT's apparently found a way to hide all the weed and booze.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Carl Campbell, last part about this chips. Utz, is that right? Crab chips are the best. It's Utz chips smothered in Old Bay seasoning.
Yeah, I haven't had those. I've heard about those, though.
I've seen them in a couple of Sefcos, I think it is. When we come back, couple of notes, but hey, a lengthy interview. One of the Baylor greats, personality, former NFL and Canadian Football League player, Cotton Davidson from Gatesville, Texas. This is SicEm365 Radio. IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's Ideal. On average, an MRI will cost, listen to this. On average, an MRI costs $1,100. Ours at Ideal MRI will cost you $497 or less every time. MRIs, on average, cost $1,100. Ours will cost $497. Yours will cost $497 or less every time at Ideal MRI. Every scan is performed on a state-of-the-art machine. I've been in it. It looks like kind of like the center of Star Trek. Read by a board-certified expert. We do it with a level of confidence, convenience, comfort uncommon to healthcare. And Ideal MRI will do it with a fixed, transparent, affordable price. Isn't that the way healthcare should be? Isn't that what you want? Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable, and that's Ideal. And again, the average cost, so we're talking about some are higher, $1,100. Ideal MRI, $497 or less every single time. Whoever it might be, the doctors who are there, the radiologists who are there, those who are the specialists, and you can meet them from the time you start setting up an appointment to when you walk through the front door to when you talk to the techs and the specialists. And my goodness, they do an incredible job. You can go to idealmri.com if you want to schedule an appointment online, talk to a radiologist, go to the portal login, feedback as well, idealmri.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters lifetime installation guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on SicEm365.com.
I did not last night watch any of the NBA, mainly because I just kind of watched a couple of Twitter feeds. Well, we're watching the game now. Portland's playing against Memphis. I did see this clip from TNT, Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson. There was the discussion about if you don't kneel. I want you to think about this for a second. I get what some of the social changes that are being made and what some of the, well, bottom line is listen. But how can you have anyone who stands during the anthem? Remember, Drew Brees faced this because it was at the time, it was just such a rocky time. But there is backlash if a player does not kneel during the national anthem. We can't do that, can we?
But isn't that hypocritical? Isn't it was supposed to be your choice?
Yes, you can't
to
make
that.
somebody. This is not, you want to talk about, this isn't a communist country. No matter who you think you are, who you like or don't like leading the country or whoever's your state. Charles Barkley said, listen, the national anthem means different things. I'm glad these guys kneel. They're not a bad person. I want to make that no one should be vilified if they stand during the. Charles Barkley always, I know he's kind of, I always get what he says. It always seems like what Charles Barkley thinks, I think. Yeah. He's a black man played at Auburn, very opinionated. He doesn't give two blanks about what you and I think or anyone else, quite frankly. He hasn't always been right. And so you're telling me that if you stand, you're the one that's going to be singled out. No, I think if you stand, you got big balls because you know that's coming and you still do it because that's what it means to you. That doesn't mean you don't care about what the Black Lives Matter or anything else.
The initial argument is that you shouldn't, begrudge anybody for doing what they want to do during the national anthem when it comes to standing or kneeling. That was the argument, not now, everybody should do it because it does. Like you said, it means different things to different people. And, so do what you want to do. And I like that maybe people I would like it if I was an athlete. Let's discuss it as a team and let's get it all out there in the open so that everybody knows where everybody stands. on the issue.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're a team, discuss it and go forth as a team. But I'm going to tell you right now, nobody's going to pressure me to do whatever I decide to do the first time I'm in person at a national anthem. I might kneel. I might stand. I haven't decided yet, although I think I know which way I'm leaning. But regardless, that's my choice and how I feel about doing that. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's not if I stand, I'm against Black Lives. That is totally false. Straw man, fallacy. The works, but if I decide to kneel, that's it's showing support for the movement and all that, but I'm not showing no support by also standing. It's not about the standing or the sitting for the national anthem. That's not what this whole thing's about. It's not about the national anthem, even though that's what we keep trying to make it about, right? So
yeah, I know, and it's you don't want to just like slam buddies. I hate to say, you don't want to crush somebody's skull because you want to force them to. Well, you have to. No, that's the whole point.
No, there's a lot of everybody should do what they want under the guise of as long as you're doing what we want you to do.
I met Jason at Midway, the best high school program. Paul, I know we have Cotton Davidson, top of the hour. The best high school programs last 10 years. Allen, they've won multiple. Katy, Lake Travis, South Lake Carroll at 4, 131 and 23. They have not in the last 10 years. Cibolo Steel, they have 131. Trinity 122. I didn't know. I guess they've snuck in another one. Longview is in because they won 2 years ago. North Shore, Midway's the 9th winningest team in 6A in the last 10 years, and South Lake Carroll at 4 and Midway at 9 with the best record during that time of the only programs who have not won a state championship. I don't remember. I guess Lineweaver maybe snuck another one in sometime in that 10-year period at Trinity because he's been retired for a little bit. All right, when we come back, Cotton Davidson, the legend from Baylor and Gatesville High School. This is SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, your friend in the car business. And right now, and by the way, their summer clearance event continues and more great specials coming up for the month of August. But right now, the 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab, 0% financing for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, and or you can choose up to $10,000, $10,250 in values. 2020 Jeep Gladiators get employee pricing plus an additional $1,500 in bonus cash. Many of the Jeep models have 0% financing for 72 months, no payments for 90 days. If you're a business owner, a farm rancher, you need something for the big, parts, spacious area that you have, Alan Samuels will find what you need from a standard cab to chassis cab, from heavy duty to ProMaster trucks, with multiple locations of partnerships around the country and all over the United States to help find what you need. Safe, in-person, sanitized environment, staff 100% on board, giving you the safe experience. If you don't want to go by, you can shop online. AlanSamuelsDCJ.com, or go by and say hi to Ted Teague and the great staff. My buddy AJ, who sold me my vehicle, does a great job. It didn't take long for him to know what I wanted, find what I wanted, and by the way, continues to stay in touch with me to make sure I'm still happy. Not after I signed the papers. He didn't disappear. He stays in touch. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340, east of 84 in Waco. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI. This is SicEm365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Playing at the goal line. Brewer keeps it again.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
It is always a treat to talk to Cotton Davidson. Francis Marion Cotton Davidson, former Baylor star, played with the Colts, Texans, and the Raiders, played on some of those really good Oakland teams back in the mid to late 60s before they really started to make their run towards, of course, winning championships as well. Cotton, thank you very much. And I know you've told some of these stories or you've answered some of these questions before, but it'd be great to kind of go over it again. So how did you get the name Cotton?
Well, my hair was just white. Until I was getting up to 15 but when I was the low one, my hair was very white. And I was very glad that it was, because my mother and them called me Francis Marion Davidson, and I thought it was a girl's name. I hated that name, and I was so glad that the Cotton Patch came in.
Oh my God, that's awesome, Paul.
So when you were at Baylor in the 50s, and that was one kind of the first big time for their football success. What was that like in that era at Baylor?
Oh, it was. I can't. It'd take you dark for me to start talking about Baylor, and how much it meant to me, and because I was just a country kid. I had never seen a professional game played until I played one. I just, we were out in the country and we didn't have any TVs and we didn't have very good radios. But it was, it was. I listened to the Lone Ranger and all that, but I didn't have any connection with any kind of sports in our, until I in fact, when I went to Baltimore the first year, we rented a little house with a little bitty TV, and that was our first TV to look at. So, everything was just exciting to us.
When you mentioned the Lone Ranger, did you say you watched it or did you listen to that on the radio?
I listened to it on the radio.
I lived in Japan.
I had no TV whatsoever.
I used to listen to the Lone Ranger, Only the Shadow Knows, and a few of those radio shows. I lived in Japan for 4 years, and we didn't, there was no satellite television back then. They had Japanese television and networks or TV shows, but, I used to listen to that all the time on the Far East Network when they would play those into the evening and also at night. Do you, Cotton, sometimes even miss the simpler days of America?
Well, that's it. That was my bringing up. That's what I went through. We had the old crank phone, and would call my grandmother, and it was 4 longs and a short. And
I love that.
A lot of people don't understand this, but ours was 3 shorts long, and so anyway, but it made it possible for me to get to town and work on some athletic, because I didn't have a basketball goal, I didn't have a track to run on, and I didn't have football, but just we had it as the football came in.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just thank the good Lord that He put those things out there for me to have and to expect, and so anyway, that was as good as I could get.
You also were fortunate enough to be with the Raiders in the early days of Al Davis. I think a time historically a lot of football fans may not know about, but Al Davis at the beginning of that organization, at the in the AFL and all that. What are your memories of playing for the Raiders that stick out the most to you?
Well, are you talking about after Al Davis took over?
Yes.
Yes, Al. I had played in the All-Star game, and fortunately I got the trophy for the best player, and I then came back to Dallas, or where we were living, and all of a sudden phone rang, and Al had coached me in that I forgot what how they label that.
Was that college All-Star game?
Yeah, college All-Star game.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of it, and I would. He called me and asked me if we'd come to with the Raiders that he had taken the head job, and I had seen those, and more our Raider coaches was hard. There's no wonder they stayed beat up. And anyway, I really had a lot of respect for Al Davis, and I told Al, I said, Al, I don't know if I want to go to California. I said, I haven't seen anything good out there all the years that I've been going out there. He just died laughing, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, 2 days later, I'm on the plane going out there. And that was the best move I ever made. It was just unbelievable how connected he and I got, and how good a coach he was. So that was all, you know, just unbelievable. But we took the Raiders on, you know, to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a pleased organization, and that's the reason I hate to see them move to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Those people backed us big time, you know, and I really had respect for the people in the Raiders seats up there, and but I guess they're gone.
What was Cotton? What was the fire? Where did you learn the fire in your belly to compete the way you did at high school, and then at Baylor, and then in the NFL, AFL, and eventually with the teams you played for? Where did all that? Was there a moment when you were younger that just kind of set you off? Was your competitive fire or something like that? Anything in particular you remember the most?
No, I can't remember any particular. But if I was running a deer or a turtle, I would want to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
That was just my move. I just I can't tell you that how great I was, but everything I did. I did at home when I'd come home and throw 20 passes and punt the ball 20 times and you know, just something that I felt like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it good.
Cotton Davidson is our guest on SicEm365 Radio on this Friday afternoon, the last day of July. You mentioned earlier about how things are, and I asked you about the good old days or what was simpler times. How have you been able to handle basically the shutdown with what's happening with the coronavirus, and how have you been able to, I mean, have you pretty much just stayed at home?
I'm sitting right here now to see what I've got this. I got my eyes that I can't drive my pickup, and that puts me at home. And so all I've got to do is sit here and look and wait for some of my grandchildren to come and play in the yard so I can watch them. And we have a lot of, about, I don't know, 12, 13 grandchildren, and we really enjoy them and hope that their success can be maybe in line with the way I travel.
When you watch Baylor football now, that's your alma mater, and obviously there was a stretch after Grant Taft left and then Coach Reedy was gone where they didn't do anything for almost 20 years, and then there was the run under Coach Briles, and then we know about the couple of 2 or 3 years where things just went really sideways, and then Matt Rule rebuilt them, and here's Dave Aranda, now the first-year head coach. When you watch Baylor football today, what do you see, and how proud are you of what they're doing?
Well, I respect, the coaches, but, there's always some things that I see that I don't think it's good to be doing that, and, we just, I tell you, the last few years I was at Baylor, I just really thought we dug a good big ditch and we filled it up with wind, and it was something that I sort of left Baylor and in a winning position,
The Raiders franchise, and you mentioned how they're now obviously now in Las Vegas. They have been in existence for a long, long time. You took, for example, when they were in the Oakland Coliseum, you took the very first snaps. You were their quarterback during that time. Could you imagine that big, beautiful stadium they have now in Vegas and being able to start a game for them if they play or when they play this upcoming season? What would that be like with that big, huge spaceship of a stadium?
Well, that's sort of what I think if they call me, I'd go out and try it.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be – because didn't you guys – wasn't the Oakland – wasn't like a dirt field almost always when you played on that dirt field, the baseball field as well?
Well, it was just a poor high school field, all it was that we started playing on the first 2 or 3 years, and then we got the stadium built,
Yep.
But the stadium we were playing in the first year or two was nothing but a high school stadium.
You are a Gatesville Hornet through and through. They've had a coaching change. Coach Howard's in his second year. Last year didn't go very well for them, and obviously they hope to turn things around. I know you have season tickets to go watch them play. Do you feel like maybe if things happen that you, if you can, will you go out to the stadium and watch them again on a Friday night?
I go by and they'll be working out, and I'll don't have anything to do and drive, work out, and it's just we haven't played too well in the last 2 years, but maybe we'll get over the top.
My last question for you. If somebody is asked about you, if somebody is asked about Cotton Davidson, what you represent, who you are as a man, what you've been as a person, how do you want them to answer that question?
Well, I first wanted to be labeled as a beginner, and then all of a sudden I became a better player, and because as I said in the beginning, that is what I've always done. Is I've tried to beat the guy that I'm playing, and that was in track and baseball when I was pitching, and I had the choice. I don't know which sport I would take. I loved track when I was running. I loved baseball when I was playing, and really loved football too. And so I just love sports.
Yep.
And like I say, I was raised out in the country, and I had my brother he and I played catch and threw baseballs and footballs, and that's what I grew up with.
You played, I know, Paul, we got to move on, but Cotton, you played for Fort Bliss or Fort Steele? You played back when you were serving the country. What was
I was playing against Fort Bliss. I went my first and anyway, I came to Fort Bliss out there, and I was doing a drill out there. And about the third day I was there, and this colonel came up and said, "Would you be interested in playing baseball or football?" And I sure would, And so, that just got me. They took me and gave me a job in the gym, and I played both baseball and football out there.
Paul, by the way, when Cotton was there, he got back to the Colts. Mm-hmm. There was a night. What jersey did you wear before you left to serve the country? Was it 19?
When I left, it was 19.
Yeah, when you left. But what happened when you came back?
Well, Johnny Unitas had stole my jersey.
That's not right.
What the heck?
And I told him, I said, I can't believe you'd take my jersey when I was out there patrolling the trails and marching and doing all that to keep our country alive, and you come up here and get my jersey.
My God!
He died to the second. I was with him 2 more years, and every day he'd say, "You want this jersey back?" He tried everywhere in the world to give me that jersey back.
Oh my goodness!
But I wouldn't take it. He and I were really good buddies.
That's awesome. He when he did his Hall of Fame speech, he should have asked you. He should have. Well, I don't know if you were where you were. He should have brought you up to the podium and given you the 19 jersey. But that's just those are the funniest. Those are the great stories.
Yeah, but I just we had a 19 out there, and I'm running to take a jersey off of a player out there, and so anyway, then I look up and there's 19.
Mm-hmm. Throwing BBs.
But I can't really say I've been disappointed in how we played and how we did things and how we basically lived our lives. I was just I was raised in a Baptist church, and my daddy blessed the food every day at mealtime, and we all lived by that, and so that was my life.
Cotton, tell Carolyn we appreciate her so much for staying in touch with us as well. She's an unbelievable woman. We appreciate you so much for everything you've done, what you've played, coached at Baylor, played at Baylor, Canadian Football League, Colts and the Texans. Man, it's great. It's been great to talk to you. We appreciate you taking a trip down memory lane. God bless and stay safe.
Well, I thank you for this because I am really, really up, just blowing my head off trying to make the way through all that traffic and come out on the other side smoking,
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And you will. And you will. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. God bless.
All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Cotton Davidson. And he was a character. Ken Houston, Cotton Davidson. Grayson Grundhafer and Todd Dodge. Todd Dodge was great, too. Grayson, of course, very informative. Cotton Davidson was having fun. We appreciate his time. 5:32 will update the PGA Tour. They continue. Bryson DeChambeau is a little bit quirky, even when it comes to how long he wants to live. That's next on SicEm365 Radio. I have mentioned quite a bit about PettyClinicLowT.com, Dr. Kent Petty, and what they can screen for and what they look for is your testosterone level, but also very important. At my age, I got to have this done every year during my physical. Your PSA count. He will help you with that as well. Cancer screening for prostate, colon, pancreas, skin, and melanoma. Petty Clinic Low T offering physical examinations, discounted comprehensive lab work. The lab work is your blood. He looks at your blood work. He looks at the levels, your testosterone, and finds out perhaps if your testosterone levels are too low. And if they are, or it is, then he'll put you in a program to get your testosterone levels back to where they need to be, and so you could be the high-performance man you want to be. Discounted lab screening for sleep apnea, and even blood oxygen. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone and even growth hormones. Not only time for you to be the man that you want to be, higher energy, stamina, improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and highest performance man. And all you have to do is contact them, PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com. Call him, set up an appointment, get your blood work. He'll look at the count. Then he'll be in touch to put you in a program, if you need it, to be the high-performance man you want to be. PettyClinicLowT.com. How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's summer. Time to go somewhere in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. It's our huge summer clearance event featuring 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on our hottest models. Pick a new 2020 Jeep Cherokee Latitude with $5,750 in total values or 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or the fun 2020 Jeep Renegade with up to $7,000 in total values or 0% for 72. Adios 2020s from Allen Samuels.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio poll is brought to you by Pickup Outfitters, where everything purchased and installed comes with our famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
We are wrapping up another week of this journey. When we got into the cockpit of a plane and like a stealth bomber flying into the night without the stealth bomber radars, we had an idea where we wanted to go. And here we are wrapping up another week. It's been a fun show, great, insightful, emotional show today. Here's a couple of notes. Now, this is in the SicEm365 premium section, but it's been in there for a couple of days. But if it's not Craig and Grayson doing their thing with the podcast, that's always an hour or so long. If it's not Grayson or Colt or Ashley or Brian with some nuggets about recruiting or all of our podcast, and you can, by the way, all the interviews we have, we put them up. Deontay Epps, Deps Right Steps on Twitter, is taking the interviews we have, putting them in the section, the Baylor interviews, and even some others that are putting in the forums, the SicEm365 premium content. And then at the end of the show, all of the interviews are up on one thread. You can go and pick and choose.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
I helped him kind of find out how best to make that look.
And they're all on the app. They're all over. I mean, there's many places you can
remember when the app was kind of, we were kind of like had like water in the gas tank?
Yeah.
God, that thing is just, I was listening to it in Florida. I listened to it just a minute ago during the break, and it's just sounds so good. Thanks to Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep Ram Fiat. So here's a couple different things. Craig, you've mentioned this before. The defensive line will see multiple players being able to slide across the formations, not just a nose tackle on the team, but Franklin, Solon, Hall, Cheedy, all able to play all three positions.
Right.
The
is this like an answer to a question or something?
No. This is Brian putting up premium content about things he'd seen and heard about practice.
Okay.
And I'm bringing it up now because it's been up for 2 or 3 days. And Brian listened and said, I don't know if Brian sleeps. I know Colt does it, although he's been AWOL this week. Tyquan Thornton is added like 15 pounds, not lost any speed.
Well, he needed to. I mean, he was a bit of a thin guy, and that's just the natural progression of him as somebody who came in probably underweight, and he added a little bit the first year, added a little bit that second year, and now here as a junior, he should be rounded into kind of like his final form, if you will, or getting close to it.
Let's see.
Which is scary for opposing defenses if he gets big.
The weight gains that were from the pre-COVID shutdown in the spring apparently remained, which good. Then they went home and ate, but they also stayed in shape and they didn't get blubbery. Linebackers, Brian is saying that from the notes he's getting, the inside notes are just stacked, the first two groups, and very intense. Terrell Bernard, of course, becoming the leader, as you could imagine. Those are just some of the notes.
Yeah, there's a lot of inside stuff that is in the premium section, especially as we draw closer to the season. There will be some little just news and notes that you'll find of interest here and there as we hear whispers from the program or people that are affiliated with the program. And the weights, we typically would be able to just see that ourselves when they would update the roster, but I don't know if they've done that anytime recently, nor have they really had a reason to do that anytime recently. So hearing that is really the only way to know, and so those are valuable and interesting notes to have passed along. So I'm glad that Brian does that on occasion and others do it on occasion as well. But yeah, I mean, we're having to go more word of mouth and kind of what people are saying than ever before, because even like I said with just the weights, I mean, we'd get the new roster out at some point. Somebody would notice the new roster's up on the website, and they'd go print out the old roster and compare it side by side, and that's how we would typically do it. But can't even really do that right now.
Now, I want to do it now and not at the end of the show where it feels like I'm rushed, because you hear our sponsors constantly with the commercial breaks that we have and the segments that some of them sponsor, or, for example, the app or whatever we have. Remember when we first started, our originals, Ideal MRI, Boozers Jewelers, First National Bank of Central Texas, Waco Custom Marketplace, Camille Johnson Realtors, Petty Clinic Low T, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lance Donaldson Realty, Westdale Asset Management and Halo Athletic Club, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, Stonewood Dental, McLean Group, Tyler Candle Company. Those were the ones who jumped on Willis Law Firm from the beginning. And then we added, in no particular order, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Chapman's Bail Bonds, Southwest Sports Medicine, Baylor University, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Edward Jones was one of the original core, one of the founding fathers, with Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Tom Albers, and Cam Heathcott. TASO, Texas Association of Sports Officials. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, Pickup Outfitters, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. All of them have joined us since April the 6th. Some before, some right then, and now Automatic Chef is our next newest sponsor. And there will be 2 or 3 more we announce by the end of the day on Monday or Tuesday. And we appreciate every single one of these businesses, because without them, we can't do some of the things we're about to launch or what we want to do. And, of course, that doesn't include what we have with Connolly football, if, in fact, we ever can get to those first games. And now they're going to play Sunnyvale at home. Sunnyvale's ranked number 7 in Division II. La Vega on the road, which is a 5-mile drive. They play Springtown at home. They played La Vega in the quarterfinals or semifinals last year. And then they play Palestine. Lance Angel in his second or third year. That guy can coach now. And Palestine, Adrian Peterson, they got some talent. And then in the last game, they'll play again La Vega. That's going to be a home game, because that's going to be that game just to make up a game. They're going to play each other. I get word, they say this now. Hey, let's play the varsity for a quarter, then shut it down with JV and whoever else. You think that's going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd place any money.
But they do get to play the game. And Shane Anderson, think about that schedule. Every one of those teams, playoff teams, Palestine the least ranked of all of them, but I know Lance Angel, he was at Canton and he was at Palestine, did a great job, went to be the AD down in Bryan College, and now back at Palestine. And we know the talent that Palestine, the city of Palestine, has.
Yeah, they're a good program. Don't let the Adrian Peterson thing fool you, though.
No,
because
I'm not saying they got about.
They don't pump out Division I talent very regularly, but they are, just a tried and true East Texas town, tucked away a bit of a ways from Tyler and out in the Piney Woods. And so, they're going to have some talented players, no doubt. But I'm just glad that we're staring now a week later. I mean, what was it, last week? We were looking at 5 games for Connolly.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at a full 10 and a doubleheader, or not doubleheader, but a double matchup with La Vega and a lot of good teams, as you mentioned. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I did have a couple notes, too, I wanted to pass along from baseball. So I had said earlier that Rob Manfred had told the MLBPA, or at least he told Executive Director Tony Clark, that if they didn't do a better job of managing coronavirus, they could shut down for the season. And so MLB's already come out with some new protocols. It sent out a 4-page memo. Each club must now identify a compliance officer who will travel with the club to help oversee players or following protocols, from staying out of hotel bars and gatherings to not high-fiving. So there's going to be basically a cop, like not a cop, but like a behavioral cop. Yeah, like a babysitter. Babysitter's a better term for it. And Scott Miller.
Kindergarten cop.
Yeah, basically. And Scott Miller also added on to that. MLB's internal investigation found the Marlins were very lax in following protocols during Atlanta trip last weekend. Players were going out. Players were in the hotel bar. Lots of MLB people very unhappy with Miami, but somebody did point out that it was Major League Baseball that allowed the Marlins to play another game when it looked like they could be having a bit of an issue, if you guys will remember that.
Yep.
And so it's not like MLB is completely innocent in this whole thing either. But they're not going to, obviously –
well, I mean, they've
put
never
the lens
admitted,
on that.
They've never admitted that they've done anything wrong anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
the
you know
steroids thing was all the players and not them.
The Dodgers and Astros, that wasn't a good look.
No.
Because
for MLB?
Yeah, well, for everybody, because, they had been told, and you get your testosterone, your egos, your manhood, and all that stuff gets tested. And you lose your mind. And but that was, you got guys kind of up against each other. That was exactly what they said don't do. They should have suspended everybody that left the bench. I know that that's against the protocol of baseball. You get a guy mad, a guy gets hit. That's just an automatic. It's kind of like in basketball. Don't leave the bench. It's hard not to. You just react, right? Mm-hmm. That was a bad look.
Yeah, but MLB, I mean, they did allow that game to go on when there was some scuttlebutt about there being an issue with Miami. So, yeah, they're definitely not innocent in this. But it sounds like Miami's also, let's not take any of the blame off of them either. I mean, they're clearly not following protocols the way they're supposed to be doing. So, Derek Jeter, get your ship in order there, man.
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
But, get your I did say ship, but I guess I got to use the word with a T, and it would have still made the same sense. But, yeah, they need to get their ducks in a row there for sure.
Mitch Sherman and Max Olson, theathletic.com. We had Max on yesterday. I'm going to have to scold him because he didn't tell us he was working on this. What college towns like Lincoln would lose with no college football. Now, listen, I like Nebraska football. I don't like who they are lately. They haven't been for the last several years. But is that like one of the – I'm not saying the ultimate college town, Oxford.
But it is – I mean, Lincoln is a college town in the respect of that's what's there.
That's it.
That's
like Norman.
Even
though Oklahoma City's obviously a growing professional type city, Tuscaloosa, but Lincoln's one of the that's a college town. I mean, without it, there's nothing there,
right?
And there's nothing there even with it. But the story was they were talking about this girl, the bartender, during the game last year at Memorial Stadium. She had about a 10-minute walk to a sports bar and restaurant in the Haymarket, which is where I think the new ballpark is that play the College World Series.
Park,
And she had heard for the longest time that football season is pure insanity. She moved from Grand Junction, Colorado. She started working there on Saturdays as a bartender. At Brewski's, if all hands on deck for home games, 17 servers, 6 bartenders, working a party that never relents. She made $650, took home $650 that night. Worked a 19-hour double shift. That's part of, you hear about businesses, but also those who work at businesses. The bar, the Haymarket, that Brewski's bar, brought in more than $70,000 that day.
I bet,
and I don't know if that's, I don't know.
It's a game day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story here that they continue on. 89,000 plus who packed the stadium. Of course, there's stadiums that are much bigger. Thousands more who watched the game from tailgates to bars from all over around the stadium. 2014 study of University of Lincoln's Bureau of Business Research found that 69% of fans who attended the games in 2013 traveled to Lincoln from outside the area, so hotels, RVs, etc. According to the study, Husker football ticket holders off-site spending in Lincoln totaled $42.9 million for 8 home games, an average of $5.4 million per game. Now, we've heard about this the mayor or whoever Tuscaloosa said like $2 billion. That's crazy. So
maybe he's counting what they're paying the players. Ha, just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah. Football fans combined to spend nearly $18 million on food, $7 million on lodging during 8 weekends. The study determined the impact, the local economy, just for those 8 games of that season, $245.5 million.
Yeah, and that's going to be the tale of a lot of cities. You know, maybe if you're a city like Austin, it doesn't affect you as much, but for the college towns, and I think you include Waco in that too, they're going to be affected.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's not pretend like Waco didn't, thanks to Magnolia and Baylor and whatever else about Coney's, like they didn't just build a billion new hotels in this town over the last 2 years, because they have. And there's a couple that have gone up right next to me that I've seen growing over the last year and now finally starting to open up. But, if you're a hotel or a restaurant or a bar or anybody that is accustomed to, gearing up for fall because, there's going to be a lot of extra money coming in, a lot of extra people in town, you're hurting right now. And you're, I'm sure, a little bit worried about what exactly it is going to look like, and you're crossing your fingers that, hey, hopefully we can get 50% capacity or hopefully we can get something other than no fans, although – it'll be interesting by the time that rolls around here in a couple months. I do wonder how many people will, if they can't go to the game, will choose like, hey, I'm going to go to a restaurant downtown and watch it there. And I don't know what the rules will be at those restaurants too. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess we still need some questions answered. But, I mean, there's going to be an economic effect that it's already been felt across the country, but will certainly be felt in the fall versus what we're normally accustomed to.
Adam Silverstein, Big 12 ADs were split today between 12-game and 10-game college football scheduling options for 2020. That's from Dennis Dodd reporting. Presidents will meet on Monday.
Say that again.
Big 12 ADs split Friday between a 12-game and 10-game college football scheduling options for 2020. Dennis Dodd reporting this. Presidents to meet on Monday night as they're expected to be.
So they got to agree on something.
So they got to decide on the 10-game or the 12-game, and at least again.
I don't know how they can really reasonably do 12 without all these other, like they're going to have other conferences say like, we need your.
Well, we have to take a break here.
We might as well just take it to the end. I'll pay at the end.
Okay, in a 12-game model, the Big 12 would play its 9 league opponents in the traditional round-robin format. In the 10-game model, it's believed they would play its conference schedule along with one non-conference game that would take place before the league slate starts those last 2 weekends in September, one of the two. So it would be 9 games plus, in Baylor's case, if they could either get Louisiana Tech or Incarnate Word, one of those two. On the 12-game... No. Let's see if it says anything about the 12. The conference is currently considering 2 primary options. That's the 12-game season or the 10-game season. In the 12-game model, 9 games against league opponents, along with 3 non-conference games. That'd be a traditional
regular schedule, yeah.
In the 10-game, it would be the 9 conference games and 1 non-conference game that would be played sometime in September. So there's very similar to what the other conferences are doing, except there would be a non-conference game.
Yeah, I mean, they're either going to be the team playing the most games or one of the teams playing the least amount of games, it looks like. But it'd only be by one way or the other.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then, again, the possibilities of shutdown. So that comes Monday. That will get some clarity or at least some, peace of mind.
We have seen some of the bowls starting to shut down. Like I noticed that there has not been like a flurry of this already, but there was a bowl game earlier today, and now the Red Box Bowl, which I couldn't tell you a single thing about it, but it was scheduled to feature Big 12 and Big 10 and Pac-12, and they've called that off. And so I'm sure that won't be the last bowl game to call it quits, just because, I mean, how do you plan for it?
Yeah.
How do you know what to even expect at this point, far out?
The Red Box Bowl. Red Box. The use for DVDs.
Oh,
now.
it's the one at Levi's out in Santa Clara, whatever.
Not a bad place to go.
It's okay.
PGA Tour, they have the World Golf Championships, the FedEx St. Jude Invitational in Tennessee and Memphis. I covered a tournament there once. Andy Dillard was leading from Tyler at the end of the 3rd round. I had to drive all night long with Roger Wallace. Brendan Todd, 2-shot lead on Ricky Fowler. Byung Hoon Yang is along with Brooks Koepka, Ches Ravi, all 7 under par. That's mainly the names. Bryson, Jordan Spieth, 3 under par, done. The scores were a little bit tough today. Bryson DeChambeau shot 3 over No, shot 70. Thought 3 over today, so he's back at 43rd, and then I got a note on him in a second.
What, did an ant get in the way of his ball again?
Yeah, did you see that?
What
he wanted to
weirdo,
get the
man.
ruling. Yes, last week it was the ruling when he got the 10. After he hit the first ball out of bounds, and he hit another one out of bounds, and then he wanted a ruling about something. He hit a drive. He just hits it so damn far. He hits it in places that are not supposed to be fairway. He hit it against kind of left of a tree, like an oak tree, whatever tree, and it had what do you call the stuff that you put around the tree, the wood chips or whatever, right? Yeah. And then he was taking his stance, and he said he noticed a couple of red ants in this one section that looked like it was kind of soft dirt. Now, see, these guys know the rules now.
Yeah.
A tower's in the way. They will figure out a way to get a drop. And he went back and forth. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was just trying to argue his case. This guy's almost too smart for his own good.
Well,
and eventually he did not get a drop. He had to take the shot from where he was.
Yeah. At least he wasn't raging about the ants.
If you take a stance and an ant pile becomes a problem, or enough where it could become a problem, like they all just raced and go up, that you get a drop.
I just think that he's a polarizing guy now, and I think he's one of those you either love him or you hate him. And I've noticed there's a big pack of people that really can't stand the guy, that think like the muscle stuff's just so overblown and it's like just kind of stupid at this point. And then he seems to, it's maybe because he's smarter than most people, but when he's doing things like that yesterday, there were absolutely some people pointing out like, well, there's that SMU privilege. He kind of acts like a little above it, and so I know that rubs people the wrong way. I'm indifferent on the guy because I don't watch him, but I know that he's kind of polarizing like that.
Ken Tackett, the official, said no. You're not getting a drop.
I laughed. We were running a recorded interview, so we watched it. The whole thing go down, and I was, Smokey can tell you, I was laughing at him because I was, and you know what? I have a friend who has. She has like someone who plays golf in her life, a young kid, and he has a temper problem. But I sent her the video to show him. I'm like, hey, don't want to wind up like this guy getting a 10 when you didn't have to, because you were so stubborn and angry about what happened.
Yeah, didn't have to do that. But we'll have tonight more NBA. We got a good game going on right here with Portland and Memphis. Trailblazers up 7 under a couple of minutes to go. Is that an overtime?
Yeah, it's an OT.
In OT. So it looks like the Trailblazers will probably win this game. But yeah, later on tonight, Mavs and Rockets will be going on. So I'm pretty fired up to see the Mavs out there for the first time.
Guess who tied this game?
Who?
Melo.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Is that why he was
Melo
trending on Twitter?
Melo drained a 3.
Could barely even remember that he was still in the league, but good for him that he's still having an impact. And I spoke too soon because now the Blazers are only up 3, although we're going to get into foul territory here.
Bryson DeChambeau, I'm always trying to add more value to my life in general. That's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
My goal is to live to be 130 or 140. I really think it's possible now with today's technology. I think somebody's going to do it in the next 30 or 40 years.
Not going to live that long drinking 6 protein shakes a day, bud. Your kidneys are going to say, see ya.
He sounds like Ricky Bobby.
He does.
Was like, yeah.
He kind of, and like, hey, look, like that's a great mentality to have and everything. And maybe somebody will live that long, but like the way he's going about it, your body is going to give up on you long before you reach that age.
I've always questioned everything. I didn't have a lot of resources when I was young. I couldn't go down all these roads with these questions that I asked at an early age. But now I'm starting to kind of figure this out. I'm having some success. I've kind of gotten deep into most of these things. I only taken what has been added. I'm only taking what has added value to me. However, Justin Thomas tweeted at him, starting to have impatience with his quirky style. What in the hell are you talking about, dude? And Justin Thomas is, he's on that board, on the players' board, I think the players' committee. On Friday, Brooks Koepka hit his tee shot on number 7 in the same area just before Koepka lined up to hit his ball. He looked out and said, "There's an